If First Class wasn't enough prequel for you, and Last Stand wasn't last enough for you, experience the prequel-sequel that made the worst X-Men movie irrelevant, and the worst Wolverine movie into a bad dream. It's okay, it's okay. It's all gone now. Shh.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Rollin' 20. We are the show that found out that the PC version of Batman Arkham Knight is still buggy. Looks like the Joker's won. I am Jeremy.
And Jesse.
Remember, you can subscribe to this show and several others in the MSP library at missionstarpodcast.com. You can like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes and on Stitcher. Follow us on Twitter at the Rolling 20s. You can send us any fan mail, suggestions for the show, or hate mail at mspfreight@yahoo.com. At the beginning of the show, you heard music by Machine Supremacy. You can find more of their discography for free download at machinesupremacy.com, as well as their latest couple of albums on amazon.com. The clip you heard was Honest Trailers, X-Men Days of Futures Past. You can find more of their videos under the channel Screen Junkies on youtube.com. How you been? It's been a little while.
Oh. Kind of wondering what happened to fall.
What do you mean? It's right there.
No, it went from it's kind of warm to, oh my god, it's cold.
It's California. Fall means 75 degrees.
Happened at the turn of Halloween, too.
Yeah, it was there. It was just, it was there and it was done. That's all. Usual things that happen in this state. I mean, I spent most of today trying to back up and make sure I had things well handled. I think I finally finished up some of the largest details on my Mario jacket ahead of Great American Comic-Con next month. There's one more thing I would like to do, however, it is so far down the list unnecessary, I'm not even going to worry about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Speaking of costumes, I was working on another costume of mine. Unfortunately, I got the wrong shirt, so I had to return it.
Oh.
To Walmart.
Oh.
I almost got into 3 accidents in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's Walmart for you. I mean, that's the way Walmart rolls. I mean, that's not even shocking anymore. That's just average. Let's see. The subject of the week is actually supposed to be the 2014 Miss Marvel, the new Kamala Khan Miss Marvel. We will get into that after we get through a few things. First off, there is actually a Kickstarter I wanted to talk about this week. And I wish the others were here because this is in all of our wheelhouses. This is amazing. Do you know the name Joel Hodgson?
No.
Joel Hodgson is a former stand-up comedian who had a bright idea back in the 90s. He created a show based around the idea of making fun of bad movies. He is the creator of Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Ah, okay. Now that sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's also the first host that was on the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
As of about 5 days ago, he opened a Kickstarter that is titled Bring Back Mystery Science Theater 3000. This is not a joke. This is not a put on, and it's already well underway. He wants to put together a new 12-episode season, brand new riffs, brand new hosts of Mystery Science Theater 3000, or as fans call it, MST3K. The Kickstarter actually ends on Friday, December 11th. It has 26 days left. It has 16,533 backers. The goal to begin this project is $2 million. Currently sits at $1,802,330.
Fuck, man, they're on their way.
Yeah, this is on Kickstarter. I spent a little while looking through the pledge brackets because, frankly, I would like to put money into this. I mean, if you put like just $10 in, that's their lowest bracket. They've got over 2,800 people at this level, and those people will get info updates, behind-the-scenes access to sketches, videos, set reports, and more. You'll also get a printable Information Club 2-inch membership certificate and ID card.
In the meantime, while you're waiting for that, you could probably buy all their shit off of Shout Factory.
Well, no, actually, if you pledge $25, you get access to the live streaming online premiere of the first episode. Live. And then you'll get... Then you get an exclusive pack of MST3K wallpapers and ringtones for your phone or tablet. plus everything that was in the prior reward. Otherwise, the 2-inch membership certificate. $35 or more, you get a free digital download in HD of the first new episode, plus all available rewards, in lower brackets. And at $50, you get an official MST3K Kickstarter T-shirt. It can be available up to 5XL. Man, he knows his audience. Starting at $100, you get digital downloads of the whole season, all 12 episodes. It sounds like a lot, but that's not bad. That's less than $10 per episode. It's all in. It would be in all HD with no DRM requirements. There are. And then I took a look at the high end stuff. There have been people that back this project for $10,000.
Seriously? How many?
Yeah. Let's see. There has been at least 4, and there's still room for at least 2 more. So what they got at $10,000 is they're named a producer. They have a personalized director's chair. They'll get to sit in after they've. Let me see. I don't know if it. Okay, it doesn't include travel and accommodations, but you have a chance to go to the LA set while they film an episode, sit in your own personalized director's chair with your name on it and everything while they shoot an episode, and they'll list you as one of the writers in the episode credits. Plus, you get a VIP set tour and 2 VIP premiere tickets to the LA or New York City debut. Not bad, right?
Yeah.
I like what he added in that bracket. It says here, quote, pro tip, real writers tend to drink a lot, unless you're alcohol intolerant. Then it's mocktails till dawn, unquote.
Sounds like a party.
Yeah. I'm strongly considering putting money behind this because this is the kind of entertainment I could use. I mean, I saw one bracket at like $7,500. They will send you one of the puppets of either Tom Servo or Crow, one of the robots that do the riffs. And they won't send you a recreation. They will send you one of the ones they used during filming that season.
Wow.
So I am sure that a lot of this stuff is going to disappear over the next few days as word gets out. I mean, shit, they only need another 200,000 to officially have the beginning of the season at 3 episodes. If they get 3.3 million, they'll put up 6 episodes. If they get 4.4 million, 9 episodes. If they make it to 5.5 million, 12 episodes, baby. If they get one, and it says in the Kickstarter, quote, finally, if we raise $1 billion, stay with me on this one, we're going to adopt a real live teenage boy and Truman show him into believing he's the Puma Man, unquote. I would like to see this get to $1 billion just to see that happen. That sounds incredible.
No one will let them adopt a child for that.
Oh, come on. They got $1 billion. They would have the money to do it. I mean, if they let Donald Trump keep that much money and haven't set him on fire, these guys deserve it. Oh, that sounds amazing. We'll get into the news of the week, but before that, I want to talk a little bit about the structure of the show. We've had contact with a few different fans, and thank you all. You've been incredibly nice, seriously. There have been some criticisms that our shows run a little long for people's taste, and I can understand that. I listen to podcasts in my spare time. The average one runs about 60 to 120 minutes or 1 to 2 hours. Ours averages, because of all the crap we talk about, around 3.5 hours. And I get that's a bit much. So we're probably going to be trimming out sections of the show starting this week. More specifically, probably the nerd interest news and very likely anime and Japan news will be scaled way back. We may have a couple items to talk about, but not as many. We're going to try and hone it down to the point where we're talking more specifically about comic books. That doesn't mean we've stopped abusing our Xboxes or anything ridiculous like that, but it just does stretch into... Let me put it this way. We've always talked about this as our virtual coffee table. We just pile stuff up and start talking about it. Apparently, we've done that too well because we piled up too much and it's starting to just annoy people. And I understand that.
Yeah, the stack's getting pretty high.
Yeah. I've also heard a couple complaints about the amount of swearing in the show. If you're an adult, I understand that's probably not as much of a problem. However, I am a father of 3, and my kids would like to listen to what Daddy does when he disappears for 3 hours into his room and talking a lot of nonsense. So I'm I'm not saying we're going to end the swearing, but we may end up scaling it back to a decent degree just to make it more palatable to a larger segment of people. That's not a sellout phrase. I know some of you are probably throwing earbuds in disgust right now. It's just a matter of being able to share more of what we do with more people. Sound cool?
I have no issues with it.
I didn't think you would. I'm sure there's a bunch of people nodding their head and a few more like in disgust, hitting unsubscribe and stuff, but we'll live with it. So, yeah. So it doesn't necessarily mean we'll stop swearing, but you may hear like more random dolphin noises and stuff in the upcoming weeks.
Oh, God,
so.
no, don't do that.
Why? It's funny as hell.
It's annoying as hell.
You run the show, you call the noises. Until then, I get to call the noises.
Okay.
All right. We will have video game news this week, and the video game feeds blew up with one particular item. Actually, two items, but this was the first one that came up. There's a female Link now.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, there's a game called Hyrule Warriors. It's like Dynasty Warriors with a bunch of Zelda characters. And oddly enough, they're adding a new character, which I'm guessing started as a joke or a joke of a joke, but has turned into its own thing. They've added a female version of Link they call Linkle to the game, complete with her own moveset. She seems to carry twin crossbows and carries a compass around her neck, which I assume has a story. I don't have much beyond that because when I first heard about this, I thought it was a joke, frankly. I thought somebody took a joke way too far. But this has turned into an item of its own. The design's not bad, although I'm not quite sure what to think about the bicycle shorts and the thigh-high riding boots.
Japan?
Yeah, probably. The obsession with elves and things they ride. It's almost a joke in and of itself, but... I have not seen the moveset, nor am I going to dig into that simply because I'm sure that Hyrule Warriors will probably only end up on systems I don't own,
Like Nintendo.
Yeah. I haven't bought a Nintendo system since Super Nintendo, honestly, now that I think about it.
I bought a GameCube.
How did that go?
I don't know. I'll let you know when I get it back.
Yeah. Okay. And there was also an announcement this week about Nintendo's actually opened their own mobile game for the first time that I know of. They're calling it Miitomo. It's a smartphone game. It's a free-to-play title, which means there's probably some way to get money out of it.
There always is.
Yeah, according to a story in the Wall Street Journal, it's supposed to be an app that is ideal for players who are reluctant to reveal things about themselves or talk to others. So, like most people, right?
Yeah.
In Miitomo, every player is supposed to be able to make their own Mii or avatar character. Then players are going to be asked a series of questions, and based on the answers, they communicate with other Miis. It almost sounds like a fancy form of internet dating. They're calling it a social networking game. This sounds like it's made for people who have just no idea how to converse with their fellow human beings.
I'm gonna take a shot at Japan again.
It sounds, I don't know, maybe it'll work for some people, but to me it sounds relatively pointless. Because I can learn even less about people online than I can from a face-to-face conversation. I'm one of those people, I spend time actually studying faces and responses to decide how much of what someone is telling me is true. And the internet, that's impossible. You can't even tell sometimes if somebody's being sarcastic unless they use the right emoji, for frack's sake. So I can safely say this is not something that will end up on my phone, This sounds like a nightmare. Now, going further on in our Nintendo theme here, and this amazes the piss out of me. It really does. Because Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy has been officially announced as the latest DLC in Smash Brothers.
I saw the video.
I did not watch the video, because, again, I'm not a Nintendo player. It was one of those announcements that I looked at and went, that's curious.
Yeah, I thought so too. That's why I watched it.
Yeah, but it's like Square Enix has been having money troubles for a while, so the fact that their characters keep ending up in other companies' games doesn't surprise me as much as, I guess it surprises other people. A couple people online did note, though, that it was kind of interesting, because when Ryu was announced as coming out soon in Street Fighter V, suddenly he was announced in Smash Brothers. Now they announced that Final Fantasy VII is coming out soon, and all of a sudden Cloud Strife is in Smash Brothers. There's also an announcement that Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out soon. Does that mean?
Sora?
Maybe.
Or,
like I said.
Donald or Goofy?
Yeah, it's a leap of logic. I'm not going to sit there and say it's an absolute. It's an interesting pattern they've noted. Let me put it that way. There is no current word on a release date or price for this DLC yet, but they are planning a special presentation next month in December.
It sounds like cross-promotional, thing that, it's going to benefit everyone with all that.
Pretty much. It's win-win for all parties involved, really. Activision Blizzard, during BlizzCon, they announced that they're launching a TV and film studio. Hello, Bueller?
Oh, muted. Damn it.
Jeez.
No, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, they announced back on November 6th, according to a press release, quote, Activision Blizzard Studios' first production will be a Skylanders Academy, an animated TV series based on the award-winning Skylanders game. Currently in production under the supervision of showrunner Eric Rogers of Futurama, Skylanders Academy will feature the voices of Justin Long as Spyro, Ashley Tisdale as Stealth Elf, okay, Jonathan Banks as Eruptor. Jonathan Banks. Oh, okay. Never mind. I remember now. And Norm MacDonald as Glumshanks. Additional voice talent includes Harlan Williams and Richard Horvitz, unquote. They also envisioned the ability to create feature films and maybe even TV shows based on their properties like Call of Duty.
That doesn't sound interesting at all.
I'm sure it doesn't sound interesting to you or me. I'm sure it sounds very interesting to a bunch of other people out there. Like, you look at the Call of Duty sales, it's hard to stop.
Yeah, but if they're making a movie out of it, isn't that just like any other military movie we've seen out there?
Conceivably, but I mean, just because you make another military movie doesn't mean it's a bad film. It's like they made Edge of Tomorrow, which was a movie based on an anime, and a bunch of people said, oh god, they made another one. Turns out, that was a good movie.
Oh, yeah.
So it's all about
a lot to live up to.
It's all about the execution. I mean, goodness knows, Schwarzenegger made a ton of bad movies, but they still sold incredibly well. Almost illogically well, if you will. There is a new trailer that I'm not going to bother to play for you right now because I'm sure you guys have seen it over the last 2 weeks we've been off. There has been a new trailer for Star Wars Battlefront that features Darth Vader versus Han Solo.
What?
Really? You have not seen this spot? It has been everywhere, man.
No. I think Star Wars is all over my feed. I just got tired of clicking on it. So I just stopped.
Well, it's not like it shows them actually sitting there and punching it out or anything, but it does show the two of them face off for a brief moment in their video. It's like a 2-minute spot. I assume... Okay, I'm going to assume by your answer that you need to see this then.
Yes, I need to see this.
Okay, all right. Calm down. I sent the video.
PlayStation. 2 Sons, Tatooine.
Yeah.
And Chicken Walkers on Tatooine.
I think those are the
they went out far.
ATSTs. Yeah, I think those are the ATSTs.
Yeah.
That would be Coruscant, I would guess.
No, it's volcanic.
Maybe. There's the infamous Millennium Falcon. Twi'leks. I wonder if you can actually change avatars. I haven't actually touched the beta. Looks like it.
Oh, there's Endor.
Yeah, if I ever got a code to try it out for a little while, I might try it, but it still just doesn't look like a game that would keep me long.
Yeah.
Oh, Princess Leia. Boba Fett.
Oh, yeah, yes, you get to play as Boba Fett.
Oh!
And a Sarlacc.
You should have shoved him in the Sarlacc. That'd be entertaining. I wonder if that's an achievement.
Maybe. Oh,
bring him down the walker. Yeah.
Your victory will be short-lived.
Vader. People are going to abuse that lightsaber throw in this game.
Of course.
Yeah. There's Solo.
Yeah. As bad as that looks, Solo doesn't stand a chance. The best thing you can do is get away.
Typically. Oof. Big force
Whoops.
push.
Your pathetic rebellion.
Oh, Emperor Palpatine.
Oh shit, is he playable too?
I doubt it. Something tells me that would be very overpowered for what you got to do. It's an interesting trailer. You know, it doesn't change my mind on whether I want to own the game, but it's interesting. I will fully give it that.
Yeah.
As we saw from that video, you'll be able to go to more planets than just those limited in the first couple beta levels or the early ads. You can go to Endor, Seleucid, Hoth, and Tatooine. I almost called Seleucid sluttish. Obviously, I see what I want to see.
Yep.
But the game came out on... the game comes out November 17th. It comes out this week. So by the time this thing goes up, the game will be out, and we'll probably see a whole bunch of new videos of people doing stupid stuff. So, hey, power to it. If it's your thing, fine. Just stop with the teabagging and yelling at people online. Just play the goddamn game,
Oh, I saw an interesting video about that.
Yeah.
Gang of troopers were teabagging some dude, and one rebel guy just grenade. Got 6 of them.
Jeez. And last up in video game news, Blizzard is looking to revive classic games. They are actually looking for software engineers specifically to revive their properties of StarCraft, Warcraft 3, and Diablo 2. They want to spit shine him and bring him up to specs for current generation gaming. Do you think that's a good idea to revive older properties like that?
I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. It sounds like an interesting idea. If you give it enough of a good spit polish, it would be interesting. But they would actually have to eventually have to innovate if they're going to revive it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. They would have to change quite a bit about the games in general. You need more than just a graphics engine. And unfortunately for me, those are all games I never had an interest in playing to begin with, so I don't have much context as to how well they play.
I do. It's been a while, though, so...
It's just going to be subjective.
Yep. Like everything else is.
Okay, we'll move into Marvel media news. We'll talk about the Marvel properties that end up on video game screens, TV, streaming services, movie screens, everything but comic books. And first up, there is a new actor that's joined the Doctor Strange cast. However, they're in an unknown role. They hired a martial artist and actor known as Scott Adkins for a mystery role in the Doctor Strange film. According to the Wrap website, the report they have says that Adkins will have several major fight scenes. Adkins has appeared in 3 of the Undisputed films, as well as in Expendables 2. There's a little speculation on Newsarama as to who Adkins may be playing, and they think he might be the Iron Fist.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen Iron Fist in comics. I look at Scott Adkins' picture from probably Undisputed. He doesn't strike me as Iron Fist, but then again, a lot of the tattoos I'm staring at could be prosthetics of some sort. Maybe you put him in the right kind of blonde wig, and he would look like Danny Rand. It's just not it's not what comes to my mind, So I don't quite know what to say about it. If this is where they're going with Iron Fist, I'd be interested to know more. There's a persistent rumor going around right now that Marvel's TV arm may be ditching the idea of an Iron Fist series for Netflix and going with the Punisher instead.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it's a rumor, though. There's been no corroborating evidence to say that they've changed plans on the Defenders. So, major grain of salt. That's why I haven't reported it as a story, even though that came up like 3 weeks ago. I mean, what do you think of Adkins' particular look?
From what little I know of Iron Fist, what I've seen him in comics and other media, I think he can pull it off.
Yeah,
it might be a stretch.
Well, I haven't seen any of his movies, so I don't know what we're talking about as far as acting talent, But this will be one of the first projects that Kevin Feige has had since Marvel Movies and Marvel Entertainment split like they did about a couple months ago. So we'll see how this plays out.
Undisputed. Expendables?
Yeah.
He's done definitely a lot of high action stuff.
Yeah, I see that, but I just don't know what roles he's had because all those movies I have not watched.
Mm.
But they have cast another actor. They cast Michael Stuhlbarg from Boardwalk Empire and Men in Black 3. He's going to play a character of Nicodemus West in the Doctor Strange movie. Nicodemus West has been a villain in the Doctor Strange books, a former surgeon who Strange visited to repair his hands after he was in a car accident, which led Strange from his own journey from being a surgeon to becoming Sorcerer Supreme. So I think West eventually learned magics in and of his own right. I'm not sure because I'm not terribly familiar with Doctor Strange lore, you know?
Yeah, me either.
This is a callback to something we've been talking about. Remember how we said that Ant-Man was actually doing better over in China than people expected?
Yeah?
Well, due to that boost, Ant-Man actually crossed the $500 million mark in global receipts.
Ha!
It earned nearly $100 million in just under 2 weeks in China. So Ant-Man is now the 22nd highest grossing comic book film of all time. It just jumped ahead of Thor, Captain America the First Avenger, and the Incredible Hulk movies. Ant-Man beat all of them. Go figure. It is the first Marvel film since Avengers that will not break $600 million worldwide, but its budget was only $130 million to begin with, so still, $500 million? Nothing to sneeze at. And arguably, the sequel could do better now that they've called it Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's a character people have been looking for.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Speaking of which, they just started negotiations to bring another actor back for the Ant-Man and Wasp sequel. Somebody that they hadn't signed to a contract at this point.
Who?
They just started talking to Michael Douglas to be Hank Pym again for the movie.
Really?
Yeah, something I wasn't aware of was that when he signed on to do the Ant-Man movie, Michael Douglas only signed a one-picture deal. I don't know if they assumed Ant-Man was going to be a one-off movie. You know, this is his origin. Now he's in the Avengers and go away. But, yeah, he said that they just recently started contacting him. Actually, the quote via Collider is, quote, "I just got a call recently. They want to negotiate for a sequel, and I thought, that's great. Hopefully I won't have to carry quite as much expositional dialogue as the first one, but I had a wonderful time doing it. Just a great, great time," unquote.
I guess they weren't sure how successful it would have been.
Or they weren't sure how interesting the Hank Pym character would be. I mean, obviously he was a secondary player throughout that movie.
To be honest, he was a lot more interesting than I've seen in other medias.
Do you mean Hank Pym or do you mean Michael Douglas?
Hank Pym.
Oh,
Michael
okay.
Douglas is a great actor. It's just the character Hank Pym is I've seen in other forms of media, and he's kind of boring.
You know, going through a little tangent here, I've liked Hank Pym for quite a while because I'm into redemption stories, and he is a major one. You know, he tried to bamboozle the Avengers with a fake robot to keep his standing on the team. He lost his temper and hit his wife, and then he has struggled for like the last 4 decades to get back in good standing in the hero community. And it's not even a case where the characters of the Marvel Universe have told him, no, you're an idiot. I just get tired of watching people, you know, fans and readers say, how could you have Hank Pym? He's a wife beater. It's like that was one moment that he's tried so hard, or they've tried to write so hard that he works past, you know. And then there are other characters in the Marvel Universe, like the Punisher, who slay people in mass, and it's like, oh, he's not that bad a guy. The frick
Or
is wrong
Wolverine.
with you people? I know. Slaughter them wholesale. They're actually wonderful people. Hit your wife once and you're an asshole forever. What the people? Really? You know, jeez. Going further into Marvel media news, though, Scarlett Johansson actually got a pretty big raise going into Age of Ultron.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she got $20 million for her work as a Black Widow in the movie, according to comicbookmovie.com. That's still only half what Robert Downey Jr. earned as Tony Stark in Iron Man, but it's a big improvement when she only earned about $5 million going into the first Avengers film.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I don't know where exactly that money came from, though. I don't know if that's because I don't know if that's because Johansson demanded more money, or if it's the fact that Downey took a severe pay cut to do the second movie. He actually volunteered to earn less money so they could afford the other actors.
Talking about a team player.
Yeah, here it is. He earned $10 million less in Age of Ultron at $40 million than what he got in the first movie. So there's definitely more money to go around.
I mean, there's speculation abounds the reason why she got that raise.
Oh, this will add to that speculation because the other four main Avengers in the movie, Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, and Jeremy Renner, all their pay stayed about the same, between $2 and $6 million.
Huh.
I mean, Chris Evans came in as the third highest at $6.9 million, but still, there's a big bump between $6.9 million and $20 million. I couldn't even guess what the details were, and I'm not going to bother because I'm sure there are theories abounds. Mark Ruffalo has said recently that a standalone Hulk film seems even further away than it ever has. He told he told USA Today, quote, "Actually, it feels even further away. It's not Marvel's property, it's Universal's property. I don't know, it seems pretty problematic," unquote. And we talked before that Universal, since they bought the rights to the Hulk, has not let go of it. I'm guessing that the work with the Hulk in the Avengers film technically counts as a project, and they probably had to sign a contract with Universal to get the rights to do that much.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they'll ever get those rights back, or if they'd have to fight tooth and nail like they do with Fox over every little thing.
Yeah, the thing is, even if Marvel Films does have a chance to do a Hulk, what can they do?
The Hulk has a pantheon of interesting villains, and it's one of those difficult things because they keep trying to get the Hulk stuck with some kind of hyper brain somehow that is just effing with his life, whether it be the leader or something else. But given how Marvel movies has really condensed their universe into one interesting point, there's possibilities abounds. I mean, put the Hulk on an alien world and let him rampage, for frack's sake. Put him up against like older, some of the more interesting older villains. Hell, have a movie with him up against
the Red Hulk.
Not the Red Hulk. There was somebody in particular, someone cross genre that I was thinking of in the moment, and I just kind of lost it. Oh, Norman Osborn.
Yeah, but that means they need to get the Spider-Man rights back from Sony. There we go, Sony.
Which they've signed the contract for, if you recall. They're doing a Spider-Man film now. It's entirely conceivable. Anyway, moving forward into Marvel's TV division, Agent Carter has actually added another actor named Ken Marino to their cast. Marino is going to be playing a character called Joseph Manfredi, being described as a volatile leader in the Magia crime syndicate. The Magia is the Marvel version of the Mafia. So this is in addition to Wynn Everett as Madame Mask and Curie Graham as Madame Mask's husband. So it sounds like there's going to be a lot of characters to follow in the next the next season of Agent Carter, which will probably come out I'm going to guess next spring.
Spring?
I don't have a date necessarily. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is in full swing. And I know probably after Thanksgiving, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to take a break. Then they come back after New Year's. And that's usually when Agent Carter comes in after they finish a full season, like a full 22 weeks.
To cover the gap between...
Yeah, so I'm going to guess somewhere around March we're going to get more Agent Carter episodes. However, speaking of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they've added another cast member of their own right.
Who?
They've added Mark Dacascos. Mark Dacascos is an actor and martial artist. He was very big in the 90s. He's also recently been on Hawaii Five-0. He's going to be brought in as S.H.I.E.L.D.'s head of security, Guerra. Apparently, he's going to have a little bit of a recurring role, and he does have some nasty snap kicks. I've watched some of his movies. He's very physical. He's actually going to debut in this Tuesday's episode.
Oh, cool. And I'm looking at his picture. He's a few steps away from Van Damme.
Yeah, he's rather
visual
impressive.
Appearance.
Oh, also, when it comes to visual appearance, it leads me to think about how different the Quicksilvers are in different movies. And in this case, Evan Peters, the guy who did Quicksilver in Days of Futures Past, he talked a little bit about his role in Age of Apocalypse.
Oh.
So quote, "The story is that my character is searching for his father and wants to find him. It starts there, and then he jumps onto the X-Men train and gets sucked up in this whole apocalypse madness. He tries to stop him from destroying the world," unquote. So it sounds like Fox is following the old storyline where Magneto used to be the actual father of Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch.
They would kind of have to be honest.
Yeah, I guess so. That's one of those weird disconnects. I'm sure people who just follow movies would be well entertained, but people who only who read comic books, they might be a little pissy about that detail. And
different universe, whatever.
Yeah. And we also found out that Deadpool's trailer is coming in December. The actual Deadpool trailer comes out in December.
I was going to say, we already seen the trailer. Oh, wait.
I don't think we saw a trailer we were technically allowed to see, you know? It says in a chat with Collider, the Deadpool producer Simon Kinberg said, quote, "I've seen a version of the trailer that's pretty awesome. That's close to being ready. I think the plan is in December to put out the new trailer. In terms of new footage and material, Ryan's creating new footage and material every single day. So I'm assuming he'll do something on the internet in the next week or so," unquote.
All right. I know someone who's having fun.
Yeah, the Deadpool movie actually comes out this February 12th.
Oh, should we report on what he did on Halloween?
That's later.
Okay.
You act like I don't know the internet. Speaking of more of the Fox version of Marvel movies, the trailer to Age of Apocalypse is being attached to Star Wars 7. So we may actually see our first looks at the characters in actual screen rolls. Hopefully they'll have the fixed version of Apocalypse. I've seen different pictures of what he looks like post-production. I can only pray it's good. And last up in Marvel media news, the Fantastic Four movie is caught blamed for something else. The movie did so poorly, it's being blamed for declining revenue at Fox Studios. According to a conference call they had with shareholders, Chairman Rupert and Lachlan Murdoch reported a decline in revenue much bigger than anticipated, with the film division dropping 28%.
Fuck, really?
Yeah, according to the actual call, quote, "The quarterly results reflect the expected impact of challenging comparisons for our film studio due to the timing of key releases, as well as the poor performance of Fantastic Four. We are pleased with the recent success of The Martian, and we look forward to having an exciting film slate, which includes this weekend's Peanuts movie, the holiday release of Joy, as well as the summer releases of the newest X-Men and Independence Day," unquote. They actually called out the Fantastic Four by name as one of the reasons they lost money.
And he still want to do a sequel to that?
Supposedly, yeah. During the conference call, they actually said nothing about the reported sequel. According to the Hollywood Reporter, the estimates are that the Fantastic Four resulted in a $60 million to $100 million loss for the company just by itself.
Fuck.
If I had to be a Fox exec, I would strongly think about cutting that loose and signing a partnership deal on the X-Men films just to boost my revenue. Because it sounds like the just having the rights on its own is not really helping their overall. But, I'm not in charge. I just read comic books.
Yeah, if they hire some good writers or people that, respect
or
content.
If they actually hire writers, I mean.
Yeah, writers, those people that have imagination.
Novel concept, I know. All right, as far as DC media news, first off was a piece of news I did not honestly expect to hear.
What's
the Suicide Squad film. The Suicide Squad movie. We know it's coming, right?
Yeah.
We know that they finished filming and it's supposed to come out August 5th of next year. We know that the story of the Suicide Squad is the same as in comic books. It's a bunch of villains who are being coerced into a kind of supervillain SWAT force to deal with things that the government doesn't want to risk its own people on. How would you write that movie? Would you make it violent? Would you make it sassy? Would you make it funny? What would you do with that?
Well, violence is going to be on the forefront of that, but Sassy and funny, yeah, if it fits, yeah, but definitely violent.
Okay, the reason why I ask is because the official rating of the movie just came out.
Uh-oh.
It's PG-13.
Okay, we're not gonna get gore, but there's gonna be some violence.
Well, there's going to be
off-screen
blood.
stuff.
At PG-13, there's generally blood and maybe people getting shot. But when you talk about actual violence, not technically a lot of it in PG-13 films.
Yeah.
Usually it has to do more with suggestive content than it has to do with actual violence.
Yeah.
I mean, I've made it very clear. I'm not interested in the cast, other than a couple individuals. I'm not interested in the costumes because I think they look way too dull for a comic book film of any sort.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Joker design, frick, no. He looks like something that came out of a bad nightmare of Walter White.
All
no
right,
way.
That's the one of the loudest things in that film.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But I thought if there's one thing I could have counted on looking at this film was that it was going to be a violent romp of some sort, and by that rating, they've even taken that away.
Yeah.
Slow down and think about this for just a moment. One of the characters in this film is a very notorious Batman villain of Killer Croc. A guy who's known to eat people when he's irritated.
Is it sad that the animated film Assault on Arkham's more violent than the actual movie?
I don't quite know. And that's the worst part. There won't even be a trailer for the film until next year. And they've already finished principal photography. What's the wait?
At least they're doing Deadpool right.
But it's not like... The Suicide Squad is Warner Brothers. It's two different companies.
I know.
It's just... it's frustrating. Well, Heroic Hollywood thinks they found out the plot of Wonder Woman. According to what they know, the villain of the movie is going to be the god of war, Ares, who's going to be on the hunt... he's going to be on the hunt for a mystical sword of the gods that will grant him untold power. But to unlock the sword's power... he incites a potential third world war to absorb malevolent psychic power.
Psychic?
I'm going to guess that's a pseudonym for maybe just the spirit of war. You know, people fighting each other. He wants all that thirst for violence.
Again, okay. Makes sort of sense mythologically. Okay.
Yeah. How this connects to Batman v Superman, though, is that supposedly, as a result of this story... Ares will be defeated and the sword is lost, and Diana, or Wonder Woman, is looking for it, and that's how she gets caught up in the events of Batman v Superman.
So wait, all that shit that's happening in Batman v Superman is started by Ares?
No. All the shit in Batman v Superman will happen after the story that's supposed to happen in the Wonder Woman movie, which comes out after Batman v Superman.
Wait. Alright, this is making no sense.
It's a prequel film. It happens earlier in the timeline, similar to how Captain America the First Avenger happens earlier in the timeline than Iron Man did.
Usually I'm good at keeping track of this stuff. This one kind of losing me.
How could it lose? It's a simple concept. The events in Wonder Woman take place before Batman v Superman. It just comes out afterwards. You're actually lost by that?
Initially, I'm very not good at following things when they're spoken to me. I'm good. When I see it in front of me, I can follow it pretty fine. When I hear about it, I kind of get lost a little bit.
You know, it's just one of those cases where
it's just a problem I have.
I don't know. It doesn't sound grandiose enough for a Wonder Woman story. I know it would fit in well with like the DC narrative and everything, but for a Wonder Woman story, I think we discussed. I would rather you take it full on mythological. She should be having like Herculean-style trials instead of just dealing with, other people's conflicts all the time. And that's the way she's often written in, I guess, media roles, cartoons and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it bothers me anyway. There's actually been new casting in Wonder Woman. Nicole Kidman is joining the film.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah, this would be the second time she's actually been in a DC film, although the prior time was when she played Dr. Chase Meridian in 1995's Batman Forever.
Oh, God.
Yeah, there's no word as to what official role she'll have in the film, although the speculation that she will play Queen Hippolyta in the movie.
Really?
She's gonna, yeah. So that means she'd be working alongside Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman and Chris Pine, who is recently confirmed to be Steve Trevor.
Hmm.
Now, I do have a few Supergirl casting items here. First off, Cameron Chase has been added to the CBS show. Cameron Chase, she played, what's the name of the character? Anya in Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Never watched Buffy.
Oh, okay. It doesn't say what she's been cast at. Oh, she's going to be a DEO agent specializing in metahuman activities who debuted in pages of Batman before landing her own series. The character's name is Cameron Chase. Okay, I'm not very familiar with the character.
Yeah,
they've also cast an actress from Hero, Tawny Cypress, as Senator Miranda Crane, who's going to be an anti-alien senator. So it's going to be a xenophobic character. As far as I know, the character hasn't existed in DC prior. And last up is an actor, Henry Czerny, who's been cast as the Toyman, the villain, the Toyman.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this version of the Toyman is going to be Winslow Schott Sr., who's the father of Kara's co-worker, Windshot. The episode's going to revolve around Toyman as he weaponizes toys to wreak destruction and revenge, but is driven by one thing, and that's the obsessive desire to reunite with his beloved son. The actor's only been contracted for one episode in the series thus far.
Why are you spin off? Well, that would spin off into a second Toyman.
Could potentially. I mean, there have been two different Toymen in DC, and they were father and son.
Really? I thought it was more than that.
No, it was father and son, and the second Toyman didn't turn out to be as villainous. It's just, I guess he was a bored genius that Bruce Wayne eventually contracted to make specialized machinery.
Actually, looking at, there's been 3, and one of them actually being a robot.
I wasn't aware of the third one.
Winslow Schott, Jack Nimball, and Hiro Akimura, which is probably the heroic version of it.
Yeah, I remember Hiro Akimura.
Yeah, Jack Nimball. Back in the 70s.
Okay, yeah, the 70s. I'm still have major holes in my knowledge of 70s history. And last up in DC media news, one of the most horrifying exclusives from Comic-Con is going to get a sequel.
What?
Do you remember when we talked about those horrifying mashups of DC characters in like Thomas the Tank Engine trains?
Oh, God.
They're going to make more. They're going to have a whole new line to celebrate the 70th anniversary, which will feature 70 train figures released by Mattel. 25 will feature characters from the show's history, 45 variants, and 8 more of the DC trains. That's really unnecessary. I mean, seriously. They're creepy. That's the one word I can use to describe it, is creepy.
Now we give you Funko figures instead.
You know what? Eat a penis. All right, from there we'll move into general media news. We'll talk about the nerdy properties in media that don't have to do with Marvel or DC. And first up is a rumor that seems to be gaining traction. I still haven't found out if it's true yet. But the rumor is that Slave Leia merchandise will be wiped out from Star Wars' upcoming toy lines.
I heard about that.
There's kind of a debate going back and forth because I'm one of those people that I don't understand why this is happening now. I mean, other than potentially the Disney buyout. My thing about it, though, is that the Slave Leia costume, although iconic, is really only 1 or 2 moments in the character's history in all of Star Wars. So to sit there and say...
the most merchandise thing about that character.
I would say not. There's tons of different Leia toys out there. You know, the only thing that makes it dirty would be the occasional snickering I see from people at Comic-Con who notice people dressed up in a Slave Leia costume. And unless you're going to wipe the imagery of that character out from Return of the Jedi, that's not something that's ever going to go away. You know, besides which, it's not like she sat there and, like, you know, took Jabba the Hutt's penis in any particular scenes or anything. The character, as far as I saw it in the movie, wasn't even really that sexualized. It was more of a frightening aspect because she was obviously there unarmed in the moment. You know, she'd been
True,
laid
but
low.
it's the perception everyone else is having with it.
I just don't get it, because even in this costume that everyone complains about, she did strangle the crap out of that giant worm and kill him by herself.
True, but I understand why they're possibly doing this.
I seriously don't. I think it's an overreaction. I think it's like people that complain about Starbucks killing Christmas by not putting anything stupid on their cups.
All right, that's fucking insane.
You know, this to me is in the same category. It's complaining about something that's only being complained about recently. You know, I'm not going to say just because it was in existence in history makes it right. I mean, slavery was in existence way back when. That didn't make it right either. But it's also just one of those things I've never heard about, and now people are drawing all these conclusions about a character that had one moment of weakness that she personally overcame. It's not like she waited for people to save her. You know, she wasn't damseled, as some freaks like to put it. She actually got herself out of her own jam. I think it's admirable. It's a moment where she was brought low and she fought back.
Yeah, but I think it's just the outfit in general, not the context in which it was used, that they're protesting against.
Well, I don't understand why they'd be protesting it just because of the outfit, because if that's the case, they shouldn't be protesting movies. They should be protesting beaches. It's also been announced that ahead of Star Wars Episode 7, there is an official press release that says you will not be allowed to bring blasters, lightsabers, or masks to theaters.
Oh, thank you.
You know, it's one of those cases where it's a completely logical request, in my opinion. You know, you got to know the identities of the people walking in and out of the theater, so no masks. You don't want people bringing lightsabers because that's too easy to hide something sharp in, and you don't want people bringing blasters because A, it might actually be a disguised gun, or B, might not be a disguised gun. It might just be a toy, but it might be good enough to get you shot anyway by someone else who's overly paranoid.
Mm-hmm. And it's distracting from the movie.
Yeah, I mean, you want to have fun with fans. Totally understand and respect that. But at the same time, have fun with other fans by watching the movie. You came to watch a movie. You didn't come to impress other people with your costume while they watch the movie.
Yeah, put that lightsaber away.
And then put that plastic toy away. Have you seen the international trailer to Star Wars Episode 7?
I think so.
It's technically the Japanese trailer had new footage in it that has not been seen in the U.S. prior.
Yeah.
It is amazing. Well, too bad because I got it here. And I sent the video.
Give me a sec.
I can hear the wind. Okay, there she is in front of that engine.
That's a big hole.
Who are you?
Yeah. So this is supposed to be Lupita Nyong'o.
I'm no one.
They say her character may be the new Yoda for this trilogy.
Really?
Yeah. Maz Kanata.
Where do you come from? I know all about waiting. For my family.
So she understands it, obviously.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah. Captain Phasma.
I will fulfill our destiny. I will finish what you started.
You think he puts that on the front of his Star Destroyer like a hood ornament?
Someone will.
I don't know your name.
Finn.
I'm right. There are stories about...
Still haven't heard family names.
The Force. It's true. All of it.
That's an awesome sky battle they got. Ooh.
Did I hear the Windhelm scream?
What?
I heard the Windhelm scream in there somewhere.
Maybe.
Hope is not lost today. It is found.
They are really making this sound grand.
Yeah. That last scene where she's crying over somebody in the forest. A lot of people are starting to speculate that it may be Chewbacca.
Damn.
Wouldn't that be something? Because I've heard rumors that it's Han Solo that's supposed to be dead in the first movie. I've heard rumors that, the character of Finn doesn't make it out of the first movie, and then there's that picture that came up, and now there's rumors that Chewbacca is the dead one in it. Although I imagine that might be fitting, though, because as much as I'm sure Peter Mayhew enjoys the royalties checks, I'm sure he's tired of wandering around in two bad knees in that outfit.
Yeah. But
Now,
they kill Chewbacca is akin to killing someone's dog. And not to put Chewbacca's character down in any way.
It sound like the last scene in Old Yeller. Han Solo's going to grab like a two-barrel shotgun. I'll take him out back and shoot him, Ma.
I don't mean it like that, but it's like, that's what it really amounts to if they actually kill off Chewbacca.
It will be a heavy moment, and that's one of those. That would be another reason why I would not want to go to theaters opening day or opening weekend, because to see that scene, I would just be sitting there going, "That's incredible, that's powerful," and around me would be a bunch of people going, "I can't believe they killed him."
Yeah, but you do know after you have to kind of cut yourself off from the internet for about a week.
I'm not cutting myself off from the internet because I'm a goddamn adult. I've come to peace with the fact that people will talk on the internet. They want to talk? Fine, talk. Doesn't mean I have to click on anything they put up. But that's not the only trailer that came out during the period we were off. I just sent another video. The Warcraft full trailer came out for their official movie.
Oh.
I have not checked it out because I'm not a Warcraft person, but I know it's relevant to what we do, so I sent the video.
I have. All right, I'm ready.
Okay, so
appropriate for all audiences.
Universal, legendary. I remember their booth at Comic-Con. It was intimidating.
Oh yeah.
For years, our world has been.
Wow.
But something is coming. I can feel it.
I really hope this movie sucks less than the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Find these beasts.
Definitely looks like they're going more grandiose with the action, I'd say.
Yeah, they've always done that.
Nothing to go back to.
There's always
How would you know?
very
This is their first
grandiose.
movie. This is the first movie. How could you say that?
Have you seen their cinematics?
I don't play their games. I've said that. I don't play Blizzard games.
You don't have to play their games to see the cinematics.
I don't have an interest. Why would I watch them?
This doesn't need to happen. There is one who may help us.
I watched you and Steve lose lives, lose like entire years to this stuff. I didn't need to do that, so
But with the humans,
stayed out of it.
there could be.
Why are you here?
To save our people.
Can we trust
Valorant.
them?
They're beasts. They should all be destroyed.
Are you sure about that? We'll protect the kingdom. You and I.
You side with the humans.
It is a little weird to see these massive different orcs. These guys are almost Hulk-like in stature, but then the females are
We have no choice.
extremely human.
We should attack with full force.
Yeah, that's always been.
Do it now!
It's a bit of a disconnect.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I won't necessarily watch the movie, but that's just one very glaring thing I've had an issue with in a lot of the design work.
Yeah, it's kind of been a staple for World of Warcraft. But, this is the second time I've watched it. The first time this really didn't interest me in to go watch it, to be honest. After listening to everything they were talking about, I've already see what the story's going to be.
Well, I'll reserve judgment till something else comes out. But the movie actually comes out June of next year. It's going to fit right in between all the comic book films coming out. And I've got one more trailer we have to go through, and this one was not one I ever expected to talk about, but here it is. They actually released the first trailer to the new TV show coming out on AMC, Preacher. Remember when we read that comic?
Yeah. It hasn't shown up yet.
Well, I haven't given it to you yet.
Now!
No! You're going to sit here and bitch at me? I'm not going to give it to you.
Okay. Next story.
Nope, now I don't feel like going on. There's a trailer. A long and lonely road.
Forrest Gump?
Or Metallica.
Okay. Wow.
What do you want, kid?
Dude.
It's about my dad.
He looks a bit like Jesse Custer.
I want you to hurt him.
It's weird to think this is the guy who played Tony Stark's dad in Agent Carter.
Oh, yeah.
I know. People said before you were a preacher, you did things.
How hurt you want him?
How hurt?
How far it will go?
Wow.
Problem is, your daddy's a big fella. He's gonna fight back. Things will escalate. That's what these things do. They escalate. And violence makes violence. Makes nothing much at all.
This looks like it's going to be much darker than I expected.
Almost done, Sheriff.
Oh!
You know what?
What do you want, kid?
From what I read in the comics, I really didn't feel the need to watch it, but I watched this trailer, I kind of do now.
Jesus, what kind of a preacher are you?
Oh, God.
Coming 2016. Okay, I'm in. I like this.
Yeah, I'm in now.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, now I want to see this. Okay, next up in our general media news, another story I never really expected to talk about. The people who are behind the Han Solo film, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, okay? They are the ones directing the Han Solo film. They just announced that they are doing for Fox a reboot to the 70s schlock superhero show, The Greatest American Hero.
I've never heard of this.
The Greatest American Hero was the story of, I think, a regular guy. I think he was like a writer or something, who was given a suit by aliens. A super suit that allows him to fly, invulnerability, and all these weird powers. But he accidentally destroys the instruction manual. He has no idea how it works. Then he gets sucked into a government agency. He's pulling jobs for them, just trying to make the world a safer place. It was basically a fish out of water comedy. And it's being revived. They're doing it all over again.
Well, that sounds interesting already.
It wasn't the greatest show. I think it only lasted a season before it was taken off of air, but it had one of the most iconic theme musics I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, oh, God. The memories that music brings up. I'm curious to watch it, but at the same time, I'm kind of horrified. It's not the only property that's getting a new TV show, though. The UK has agreed to take the Golden Compass and make a TV show out of it.
Huh.
The movie that was based on a best-selling young adult fantasy novel, the BBC announced it's making an 8-part miniseries based on the books. So the Golden Compass is getting another shot at being relevant, I guess.
Oh.
The movie wasn't bad. It was a very unfinished story from where they left it. There was a lot going on that I would like to have seen played out. Just never went very far.
I have no context since I not read the book nor seen the movie.
Okay. Also in the League of Things I never expected to talk about, the robotic assistant, or sometimes assistant to the Doctor in Doctor Who, the robotic dog K9.
Yeah.
It's getting its own movie, too.
I've heard of a movie called that, but it had Bill Murray in it.
Yeah, no, this is an actual movie on the robotic dog K9. This is via a press release on Doctor Who News website. Quote, a new high-tech K9 for today's cinema is being prepared for film stardom. The film K9, Timequake, has been written by one of K9's original creators, Bob Baker, a renowned writer of classic Doctor Who serials. Bob went on to co-write with Nick Park the Oscar and BAFTA-winning Wallace and Gromit series of film shorts, as well as the feature film Curse of the Were-Rabbit. The new K9 will be appearing in a multi-million-dollar movie, which promises to be a great action adventure set in deep space. The film will be full of dashing heroes and heroines, androids, monstrous aliens, and an ultimate foe who will also be familiar to Doctor Who fans everywhere, the megalomaniac Omega. The film is set to be a UK co-production with exteriors and filmed overseas and studio work planned for the UK, unquote. Apparently the Omega is one of the founding members of the Time Lords.
I have a mild interest in Doctor Who, so...
believe it or not, that's one of the segments of the show I have not watched. I wasn't interested in the original Doctor Who series. I've only primarily watched the 2009 and post reboot episodes. So I'm very aware of K9, but I still have not seen much involving it.
Yeah.
They would have to redesign it radically for a movie, though. I mean, in the TV show, all it is like a small remote control cart with a dog head, basically.
Yeah, it's basically something similar you saw at those, black droid things you saw on the Death Star.
Yeah, those actually seem kind of more complicated than the original K9 designs. We've talked several times about Hot Toys and the insane things they do that takes like $200 to $300 straight out of your wallet every time they come with a new project.
What did he do this time?
Oh, they've made an icon of comic books. They've made something that no one has ever made before. They've made a 1/6 scale action figure of Stan the Man Lee. Yep.
Wasn't this announced prior to this was announced prior to Kamikaze.
It was, but we never got a... Well, no, actually, it was announced during the end of Kamikaze. The original story came out on November 2nd, like right after the convention ended.
Really? I heard... Alright, I didn't see any pictures, but it was said that Hot Toys was doing a Stan Lee figure prior to Kamikaze. I read that.
They finished it. It's just as articulated as other things they've done. It's Stan in his classic windbreaker with that button-down shirt and those, aviator-like glasses he wears. It even has accessories of a pen and a wristwatch. Comes with a director's chair with his name on it, and it looks like 7 different hands you could use to put different poses out of it. As much as I'm not interested in Stan Lee as an individual, I appreciate his career. I've never thought about collecting his memorabilia. This is kind of appealing to me. It's a good likeness, too. It's very lifelike. Complete with that grin he's got. You've seen it. Man, their sculptors do an amazing job. Man, I wish V was here because while we were gone, they CBS put out that announcement that they're working on a new Star Trek series.
Really? Oh yeah, heard about that.
I was about to say, how could you not heard about this, man?
I've heard. No, I definitely heard about this. I'm actually quite interested in it.
There is some backlash by fans about the show, though. Not because any story elements have come out, but because there was an announcement that the first episode will come out on CBS TV, but after that, the remaining episodes in the season of whatever they're producing in the Star Trek universe will be online only streaming.
Oh,
it's going to be streamed via this. It's going to be streamed via the CBS app and websites, which have their own. They have their own membership fee of I want to say either $6 or $8 per month. To which I kind of wonder why you're bitching about it, because this is the direction TV's been going for the last few years. More and more stuff is coming out online in exclusivity. I mean, frick, we sit here 5 days away from the debut of another online-only show, Jessica Jones. I haven't heard people complain about that.
Yeah, well, Star Trek has a larger following than Jessica Jones.
But that's also a reason to make it online only, because you now bring all those subscribers over to your online network. As much as they complain, Star Trek fans are so rabid, they're not going to ignore a new Star Trek series. I think this is a brilliant idea.
I am not swayed in either direction. I just like new Star Trek series. Good, let's go.
It's going to come out in January of 2017.
17, okay.
Yeah. And last up in general media news. God, I wish V was here. William Shatner wants to make a Star Trek musical. He spoke to the Press Association and said, quote, "I'm attempting to sell a 50th anniversary show, but so far I've had very little luck. Maybe because Paramount's going to do their own. But I don't know how they can do their own without me. I've never been contacted. I've been actively trying to do a 50th anniversary show. We had a big company say, what about a musical or music variety show? That got some traction, but nothing's come of it yet, unquote. Would you see a Star Trek musical?
No, but I don't go out to see musicals.
Dude, I am so curious about this. This sounds entertaining to me. You know what I mean? Although I don't know if I'd say I want to see one with William Shatner as the star. That might be a bit much. But he does have my attention. That sounds interesting. Okay, from there we'll move into Marvel comic book news. We'll talk about the news that actually ends up in Marvel comic book pages. There's not a whole lot of news about new debuts. However, there is a lot of information about what came out in the last few weeks and where characters are headed in their particular storylines. One of the bigger reveals was actually this past week in the second issue of Uncanny Avengers. The team of that's known as the Unity Squad, you know, Captain America's special team that's trying to show that humans, superhumans, mutants, and Inhumans can all work together in relative peace and harmony. Mm-hmm. They've apparently run up against something called the Shredded Man, who's bringing these odd plant hybrids that the Unity Squad is having so much trouble with. They failed. And when I say failed, somebody in the far-flung future of Marvel Comics found out they failed and is going back to find out what's happening.
Bishop?
No. Turns out, for the first time ever, wearing an A symbol is going to be the Time Hunter Cable.
Ah.
And they actually showed, you know, a next issue promo that shows Cable complete with an outfit that's very similar to his original 90s outfit, complete with an Avengers symbol right there on the breastplate.
Yeah, I saw that. So does he get like tons of pockets too?
He's got like one belt. Technically, he's got as many pouches as like Bucky's Captain America did, so he's not outlandish or anything. He's got a new outfit. Looks like he has another cybernetic arm. He's got a new AI that's called Bell that assists him. As far as design goes, it's a throwback to his original design, but it's based on it. I wouldn't say it's a copy of it. However, I worry because, you know, Steve Rogers has never had to deal with somebody as headstrong as Cable before. And then you have Deadpool, who's already on the team in between them.
He's worked with Wolverine.
Wolverine is nowhere near as headstrong as Cable. You know, Cable, last time I saw him very active, at least prior to the X-Force books, he took out the entire Avengers squad by himself to make sure they didn't kill Hope. Like, just before the AVX storyline. So it's actually going to be kind of personal. However, speaking of Deadpool, his series has started, and he's going to have a new series coming soon that's very similar to Deadpool and his own Dirty Dozen team. He's actually going to bring together several ne'er-do-well style characters to do work for him as one of the world's most popular heroes. He's got the Stingray from the Avengers, a character called Terror Incorporated, Solo, a mercenary, Madcap, Slapstick, and a couple others. It's going to be called Deadpool and the Mercs for Money.
I'll be honest, the names he's laid out, it's like, these sound like henchmen for the Joker.
No, these are all Marvel heroes. I call them C-listers. You know, they never really went anywhere in their own series or even in team books. The writers are trying to compare it to like if Deadpool had his own Expendables team, or it's Smokey and the Bandit, but rather than being pursued by Buford T. Justice, the heroes are being harried by the likes of Lord Deathstrike and the Crazy Gang and Taskmaster and Deadpool's sort of undead nemesis, Evil Deadpool. This sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read the crap out of this. That sounds entertaining. Also, the first issue of All New Wolverine came out last week. The first adventure of Laura Kinney, X-23, as the new Wolverine.
Uh-huh.
I was kind of worried about that because a lot of times characters who take over books, they kind of get mired in the prior characters' rogues galleries. You know, all the villains of the prior characters seem to come out of the woodwork, and then the new characters get buried under the idea that fans just want to see the old characters fighting their villains like they used to. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Well, this went a very different direction. In the first issue, it turns out that the new enemy for the all-new Wolverine is herself.
Clone?
No. a legion of clones.
Oh, even worse.
There's a bunch of other X-23s running out there, completely programmed by somebody and very loyal in their assassination techniques, also engineered to the point where they feel no pain.
Do you have the adamantium claws?
Not that I've seen. That appears to be still a staple of just X-23.
Okay.
So, also, this Wolverine is trying very hard not to kill anybody.
That's a hard thing to do for her, I guess.
Well, I thought it was going to be hard, but it's very personal for her because she's literally trying to save herself, if you think about it.
Ah.
She's trying to prove to whoever did this, as well as herself, that she and those like her are not just programmable weapons, that they're people, too. This is going to be an interesting meta story. I haven't read a Wolverine book in quite a while. I checked this out just on a lark, and I'm interested. It's a kind of story I've never heard before in a Wolverine book. And speaking of stories I never heard before, I also read the first issue of The Ultimates.
Oh, yeah, that's that weird lineup with Galactus.
Yeah. It's the new lineup seems to be the Black Panther, Spectrum, Monica Rambeau, the Blue Marvel, Miss America, all being led by Captain Marvel. And the first story, this is supposed to be the team that's supposed to handle huge cosmic threats. It looks like they're the ones that are slipping into the slot that Reed Richards used to have in the Marvel Universe. Since he's not out there checking out the unusual, they're the ones that are doing it themselves. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't a bad cast to do it. At least two of them are high-level geniuses, and the other three have powers beyond powers. But the real twist came at the end of the first issue when the Blue Marvel and Captain Marvel confronted Galactus. And Galactus was so dismissive, it was amazing. He talked about all the times people tried to destroy him, all the times people tried to kill him, and now they've come to take their shot. Well, go ahead and take your shot. He didn't even look their direction. He just basically said, fine, you're here to try and kill me. Try and kill me. You'll be like all the rest.
He's done this too many times.
Yeah. And the twist was that Captain Marvel didn't fire a shot. They're here to try and fix his problem.
And how are they going to do that?
I don't know. I mean, if you haven't read comics, the problem for Galactus is that the only way he can survive is to feed off the energy of planets he
consumes.
Just kind of raises down to the core and consumes the energy of their cores. So he has to consume whole planets regardless of whether they're civilizations to survive. And it seems like the Ultimate's first mission is not to just stop him from destroying planets, but they're trying to find a way to satiate his hunger without destroying worlds. And I know
that's where all the brains come from.
Yeah, I mean, I know that doesn't sound very interesting because it's non-combative and everything, but at the same time, this, in the Marvel Universe, this is a complicated damn problem. And I kind of look forward to the idea of a book where they're not just protecting the Earth, but they're trying to solve stuff, and not just punch it until it stops moving. They're actually trying to solve stuff. I think that's a nice idea, actually.
Different change of pace.
Definitely. They've also changed the origin of Squirrel Girl in Marvel Comics.
Really?
Yeah, she's not a mutant anymore. No, she's not a mutant. I don't know what she is, but her mother made it pretty clear in a conversation that she's not a mutant. Apparently, she's been, according to this new retcon, she's been calling herself a mutant all these years because she's still not entirely sure what she is.
Huh.
It's very similar to the vein of possibly the fact that they want to retain the rights to the character, so they've written, or the film rights to the character, so they've written her to a point where she's not a mutant anymore, like a la Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch. But, I can't say it's a huge deal. However, this character is so fan-friendly, I can see why Marvel made the move. There's nothing terribly special about her, but there's just something enjoyable about the character, and I can never put my finger on what it is.
She has an interesting charm about her.
Yeah, it's really hard to quantify. Last up in Marvel comic news, I don't know if this is good or bad, because the writers of the X-Men 92 series are working on a new Deadpool book with the creator of Deadpool, Rob Liefeld.
Really?
Yeah. Rob Liefeld teased that he was returning to Marvel on a killer project, and a lot of fans out there thought that meant he was going to come onto another book and his talent or lack thereof will kill it. That's all subjective. I'm not gonna comment on that. But Rob Liefeld will be illustrating an original graphic novel titled Deadpool Bad Blood with the writers Chris Sims and Chad Bowers. Liefeld will be drawing and co-writing the project based on a story idea he had from the late 90s. Again, still don't know if this is a good thing. Although according to the pictures and the proposed cover, it looks like this will also include the characters of G.W. Bridge, Cable, Shatterstar, and Domino. So if this is going to be a throwback...
Bridge?
Yes.
Not familiar with that one.
G.W. Bridge was... I think he was a member of Cable's six-pack of mercenaries that included Domino, Grizzly, Hammer, and a couple others. Well... No, actually, I take that back. I don't think he was a member at all. Bridge was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent for a long time. His sole job was to hunt down Cable and imprison him in the 90s. Wasn't given a lot of reasons as to why he was doing that other than the mess he left with the six-pack. So I've never been extremely clear as to what his purview was. So, as much as Liefeld created Deadpool, he didn't create the version of Deadpool that became so popular. So I don't know how I feel about all this. He created the initial character, but other writers picking up the ball and running with it turned Deadpool into the merc with a mouth he became. I guess it's a Maso Menos situation, you know? Okay, from there we'll move into DC comic news. And first up, there's a new digital first series called The Legend of Wonder Woman. It's being done by artist and writer Renee DeLiz. She's going to be writing the origins of Wonder Woman in a way she sees the character, according to the writer, in her heart. It's supposed to be offering a new jump-on point for readers just a few months before Wonder Woman's introduction in the live-action films. DeLiz is best known for spearheading Womanthology. It's an anthology series that featured female creators and was funded through a Kickstarter campaign. She's also won acclaim for adapting Peter Beagle's The Last Unicorn, Jennifer Love Hewitt's Music Box, and Anne Rice's Servant of the Bones, and creating Lady Power Punch.
Lady what?
I'm not familiar with Lady Power Punch. I don't know if that's supposed to be a joke or if that's the name of the character. I don't know the concept of the series, so I'm not going to comment on it. If she can make the origin of Wonder Woman accessible to readers, I have no issue with this whatsoever, because all I want is one coherent narrative to come out of DC Comics, frankly.
Yeah, would be nice.
This whole concentric circles of continuity thing is not working for me in the least. My only worry, though, is that because this is a digital first series, DC, if digital series don't go well, they just tend to ignore them in their entirety and pretend they don't exist, So I'm intensely worried about this. I also don't know which origin story they're telling, because there have been times where she was born from Queen Hippolyta. There have been times where Queen Hippolyta wished her out of clay. She molded into the shape of a child. And recently DC Comics has retold it, so she is the daughter of Queen Hippolyta and Zeus. I don't know which is the actual origin anymore. If you can ever help me out with that, I would appreciate it, just so I understand what the hell I'm talking about.
Nope. We can't help you there.
Okay. There's a special one-shot coming out as a prequel to The Dark Knight 3, The Master Race, the new Frank Miller graphic novel that's continuing the Dark Knight trilogy. Mm-hmm. It's going to be called The Dark Knight Returns, The Last Crusade. It's being done by Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. They were the team behind Daredevil, Man Without Fear. And they're going to be joined by co-writer Brian Azzarello, who's co-writing The Dark Knight 3. It's supposed to be a prequel to The Dark Knight Returns, and it's going to have to do with Jason Todd and what happens to him at the hands of the Joker.
Crowbar?
Well, I don't quite know, because I imagine the original story referenced a death in the family, but since then, obviously Jason Todd's come back to life. It sounds like by the time The Dark Knight 3 comes out, Jason Todd will be dead again, and this story will tell the details as to what happened to him. It's going to be the story of how he met his end and what transpires up to that point in this prequel. So, that could actually be a very interesting story. Well, I mean, I don't know how much Carrie Kelly from the future knows about what happened to her predecessors. So
I think she knows enough that, one of them's at least dead.
Yeah. There's also a new series coming out from DC in January. It's a Poison Ivy series.
Really?
Yeah, they're putting out they're putting out a special series, a miniseries. It's going to be 6 issues. It's called Poison Ivy: The Circle of Life and Death. It's supposed to explore her power to bring things to life, but also kill things. The character is going to be taking a job at the Gotham Botanical Gardens with a new artist drawing her. Clay Mann is going to be doing the art. It's going to be written by Amy Chu. It's going to feature her interaction with both the plant world as Poison Ivy and the human world as Pamela Isley.
That's an interesting take for a DC villain.
It could be an interesting dynamic if they do it with a good thought process. And It's not like Mann comes with no other credits. He did previous covers, and he's worked on various Marvel and Valiant titles recently. Mann is also doing the covers, including an image for issue 1 that Chu hinted at contains clues about the mysteries of the story. Claymann's work has been described recently as a cleaner version of Jim Lee from the 90s. That's a high bar to reach. I mean, his stuff was seminal in the 90s. But if you take a look here, it's kind of interesting because I'm not sure what they mean by clues. Obviously, there's a couple of cops in this image fawning over Ivy as she uses her pheromones or pollen to get out of a situation.
This has clues, apparently?
Supposedly. I don't quite know which. It's interesting, though. That almost, on the bottom, the white cop, he almost looks like Joseph Gordon-Levitt from the Nolan Batman film. Doesn't he? You can't see his eyes, but he's got the same facial structure. It's a nice picture, though. It's almost the most the character has worn in recent comics. She was wearing a bodysuit for a while, but this isn't just the bikini of leaves. She actually has something akin to a full dress in this one.
And then you go to Arkham Asylum, she wore even less.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that right now because that's a whole different conversation. For all I know, they'll outlaw that character and stop making merchandise based off it, So...
Yeah, well, I don't think Disney owns DC yet.
Yeah. Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder, they're promising a big, crazy finale in the Batman Super Heavy story arc. That's a story arc where the Jim Gordon Batman is taking on a new villain, Mr. Bloom. Mm-hmm. And Bruce Wayne is working in an orphanage. He's the one fighting crime the legal way in the streets right now. Mm-hmm. So they're promising that things will get even weirder in upcoming comics, all the way up to issue 50 coming out next year. That's supposed to be the end. That's supposed to be the end of the Super Heavy arc. Is issue 50.
So that ends Jim Gordon's stint as Batman?
I don't know. They're not saying whether or not Gordon will continue to be Batman past this point. Unfortunately, with the movie coming out, my personal opinion is that it's only a matter of time before Bruce Wayne is Batman again ahead of the movie.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a shame because as much as I'm not reading Batman books, I do appreciate the fact that the writers have gone... Right, they've gone this extra step. It's not just Bruce Wayne or some member of his extended family that's Batman. It's somebody completely new trying to step into this role. And that's not an easy level to step into in the DC universe. Period. But it's not like he shied away and given up like a lot of people do. He's trying. So full marks on that. This is news from DC that actually made me happy. Remember when we read the first few issues of Aquaman plus Flashpoint?
Yeah.
Really good books in our opinions. I remember that. Well, the guy who was writing it, Jeff Johns, he's returning to Aquaman with Ivan Rice, the guy who did the art of the issues we read.
Oh, cool.
According to DC Creative, they're going to do a new storyline called Rise of the Seven Seas.
Ooh.
Sounds interesting, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Since they hinted at the idea that the Seven Seas actually represent seven kings.
Yeah, they're actually looking for something called the Seven Seas. Aquaman was the king of the first sea. Neris King was the king of the second sea. And a character named Zebul is the king of the third sea. So they're trying to raise the Seven Seas to take over the Earth. So I guess that means they're trying to get the seven kings on the same page.
Right.
That or they're trying to raise sea levels. I don't know.
I think one of the kings was responsible for that. The trench creatures.
I believe so. But hey, if they're going back to Aquaman, power to you. They made a fun freaking hero out of him. A fun and relatable one. So full credit there. All right, next up is general comic book and convention news. We'll talk about the comic properties that don't end up under Marvel and DC umbrellas, as well as news from conventions around the world. And first up, this past weekend, we took part in the Comic-Con presale. And I'm glad to say that, yeah, even with a few hiccups, we got, I would say, 95% of what we wanted. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah.
Because we got 4-day badges. I'm the only one I know of that wants preview night. I want that desperately. And unfortunately, it's still the one thing we got frozen out of. But in Comic-Con related news, we found out this year that Comic-Con is not going to hand out badges on site like they have the last few, forever. They're actually mailing out RFID badges to people about 4 weeks before the convention starts.
Well, they will pick them up if you're international.
Correct. If you're an international, if you're outside the U.S., you have to pick them up on site. But most of I would say the large majority of their badges are U.S. buyers, and they're going to be mailing those out across the country. If it gets lost in the mail, it's recommended that you keep the barcode they email so that you can pick up another one on site. There's no news as to whether or not you would have to pay an additional fee to get another badge, although I think that's kind of unavoidable.
Yeah, considering how much the chips cost.
Well, not only that, I read their policy last year. Their policy last year was that if you lost a badge, yes, they'll replace it at full price.
Ooh, don't lose it.
No, I would recommend not. For those who don't know, full price badge last year, minus preview night, was $185. Now it's $205.
Yeah, that's going to hurt the wallet.
Yes. Yeah, you will definitely lose out on some exclusives at that point. But, so this will be new. If it works out well, I wonder if other conventions will follow suit. But
would make a badge pick an interesting experience.
Yeah, they have said that the RFID chips, the point of them is not to track people. They have that capability, but they're not planning on tracking anybody through the convention. The purpose for it is to create a badge that's hard to counterfeit. Because before, the most important thing about the Comic-Con badges were the badge holders. The actual badges themselves were just a simple piece of light cardstock paper you could pick up at any office supply store.
Mm-hmm.
So the purpose of the RFIDs are more or less another form of, maybe they'll use them to track guests of honor, but the primary purpose for attendees is just another form of identification that'll be hard to reproduce.
It's really good to help find lost people or lost kids too.
Conceivably, although I don't know if they'll use them in that format.
I think they may reserve it for emergencies, maybe.
You would probably have to sign a waiver to get them to look it up, though.
Mm.
In other news that's related to Comic-Con, they've announced the first 2 waves of guests for WonderCon this coming year for March 25th to the 27th at the Los Angeles Convention Center. WonderCon is Comic-Con's sister convention run by the same company. It's smaller, more fan interactive, I would say. And the first wave of guests, Jason Fabok, who's the artist on Justice League, Detective Comics, and Batman Eternal. Scott Sigler, who's the author of Infected, Contagious, Pandemic, and Generations trilogy. Annie Wu, the artist on The Black Canary, Hawkeye, and Archie. And Brian Michael Bendis, the writer of Invincible Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Powers. That's a good start, I would say. The second wave of guests is almost as strong. Peter Klein, the author of The Fold and 14. Russell Dauterman, the artist behind Thor and the Mighty Thor. Raina Telgemeier, the writer and artist on Smile, Drama, and Sisters. And Charles Soule, the writer on The Uncanny Inhumans, Daredevil, and Swamp Thing. And just think, that convention's still like 5 frackin' months away. There's plenty of time for more things to come in there. The character of the Doctor from Doctor Who is getting another comic book series. There's already series out there based on the 10th, 11th, and 12th Doctors. Well, they're going backwards for this one because it turns out the Tom Baker Doctor, which I believe is the 6th one?
I don't know.
No.
Never followed it.
4th Doctor. Tom Baker was the 4th Doctor. He's getting his own comics line.
Really?
Yeah, Titans Comics is putting out a line of comics based on the 4th Doctor, and the companion he had at the time, Sarah Jane Smith. Is that why Sarah Jane Smith hasn't been on Doctor Who recently? Apparently she's passed away.
Oh.
The actress did. I did not know about that. I'm sorry. But the all-new adventure will be set in Victorian England, where a mysterious woman commands a hidden army in the House of the Blind. Something called the Scryclops stalk the streets, and something alien and terrible screams from prehistory with a hunger that cannot be satisfied. Well, if you give it a Snickers, everything will be fine. A little bit of sad news when it comes to conventions. The South by Southwest Festival. That is a music, film, and interactive festival where people can learn the latest on culture, right? Mm-hmm. They've also been known to host various musical gigs across the country. They actually had panels planned on online harassment and Gamergate that they had to cancel because of unspecified threats. They had numerous threats of on-site violence at these panels for online harassment and Gamergate. What is it about this issue that keeps drawing out the worst of gamers?
I don't know.
And before I get a bunch of stupid mail, I'm going to say it plainly. When I say that the issue of Gamergate brings out the worst in gamers, I'm not talking about women. I'm not talking about pro-Gamergaters. I'm not talking about feminists. I'm talking about both sides bringing out their worst individuals to fight on this. Because it makes me wonder if the rest of us, the average individuals, even see this as something worth fighting. It makes me think that only the most ridiculous and self-righteous people are the ones that take up these particular banners. I'm sorry, did I lose you there?
No, I'm just nodding. You can't see me, but I'm just nodding in agreement. But it's like, this is some stupid ass shit that who still fucking cares?
I don't know. The guy running it, and I'm missing his name in the story. It's somebody named Forrest. I believe that's his last name. Actually, let me take a look here, because maybe I can pull this apart. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. South by Southwest Interactive Director. Wow. South by Southwest Interactive Director Hugh Forrest published a statement. Quote, however, preserving the sanctity of the big tent at South by Southwest Interactive necessitates that we keep the dialogue civil and respectful. If people cannot agree, disagree, and embrace new ways of thinking in a safe and secure place that is free of online and offline harassment, then this marketplace of ideas is inevitably compromised. Over the years, we are proud of the healthy community of digital innovators that has formed around South by Southwest. On occasions such as this one, this community necessitates strong management to survive. Maintaining civil and respectful dialogue within the big tent is more important than any particular reason, unquote. There's no details as to what specific threats they received, but what he was hoping was that hosting these two discussions in March 2016 in Austin would lead to a viable exchange of ideas on this very important topic. And it is one of those things where it needs to be discussed. Both Gamergate and feminism in general need to be discussed as concepts and figure out where they're going, who's leading the discussions, and where we can move on from. Because both sides on this are so freaking intractably stubborn that there is no chance to move on. There's no chance to advance what's happening.
Well,
both sides are so busy pointing fingers, we're not getting the internet. It's not the internet. The internet is just a communication tool. To say this, the internet's fault is lazy. It's the fault of the people typing ridiculous statements without actually putting any thought behind it. It's like the whole Honey Badgers thing at Fan Expo. I saw a lot of people complain that they got thrown out because they were Gamergaters. They weren't thrown out because they were Gamergaters. They were thrown out because they managed to,
entice the threat?
No, they sidetracked a panel regarding women in comics. The people running it found the individuals and told them they made them feel uncomfortable. This particular group of people did not care. They also posted a video later that night. They said they planned to do it to several other panels, and then they planned to follow these people around to other conventions and do it again. They made a video where they basically admitted they were going to stalk them and make them feel uncomfortable on purpose. That's enough for any convention to get you thrown out.
That's enough for a convention.
Technically, yeah. But a lot of people went online and said, well, they deserve a refund and they deserve blah, 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 and their leader shouldn't have been banned from all Fan Expo conventions. Unfortunately, they put themselves in that situation. They filled out the application where they said that the primary purpose of their booth was to promote the webcomic that the leader made, which I understand was a pretty good webcomic. Unfortunately, she posted a video alongside all the other Honey Badgers that said that they plan on doing this at all these panels, That's not the reason for their booth. It's not the one she filled out in the form. You know, if they wanted to talk about Gamersgate on the floor, they probably could have just filled that out in the form, but that's not what they chose to do. So, you know, for crying out loud, it is really time to move on from the whole Gamergate issue because, honestly, fandom has moved past it already. There's already more interaction by women in video games, comic books, and everything else. It's already stepped past. To sit mired in this, whether you're pro or against the whole Gamergate, I'm going to call it concept because the initial Gamergate issue is a dead issue. It's transformed into something else. It's really time to just let it go. It's not going to get you anywhere. Unfortunately, the FBI has joined in the hunt for a missing comic book inker, Norman Lee.
Oh.
He disappeared while snorkeling in the Grand Cayman Islands in March. Lee went missing while snorkeling with his wife in about 250 feet from shore. He was in close proximity to a several thousand-foot drop to the ocean floor, though, when he went missing. Authorities did an air and water search for 3 days following his initial disappearance, but that's unsuccessful. I guess my question is, why is the FBI involved? I mean, it's a missing person, and I'm not going to say that his life, if he's still alive, is unimportant. But why would the FBI get involved in a search for a single inker? What am I missing from this?
Well, one could be in international waters if it went too far out, and two, they may have better resources.
It just seems like a radical step, you know? It just makes me wonder what he might have known to somebody if that was the issue.
Maybe someone in the FBI likes him.
Okay. Alex Ross donated new art for an anniversary event for Flash Gordon. Alex Ross does incredible painted work. He's done covers of comic books. He's done specials for different charities. And the reason why he did this was because in 1980 came a notorious bad sci-fi film adaptation of the concept of Flash Gordon. It was produced by Dino De Laurentiis. It was done by a director named Mike Hodges. It had an entire original soundtrack that was created by Queen, the English rock band Queen. It's a notoriously horrible movie. Now, 35 years later, BAFTA is going to have a red carpet celebration for this movie to honor it because it has been a fan favorite and inspiration since it came out. The cast and crew that are surviving will actually converge for one night only on Saturday, November 28th for this anniversary. That almost sounds like something I want to go to, even though I'm well aware the movie is not my thing. You know what I mean? But take a look at this picture Alex Ross did. He must have spent hours working on this. Days, maybe even weeks, frankly, because this is a complicated portrait. It's awesome.
Oh, fuck.
I can't count the number of figures in there. It looks like at least 30 characters on the ground, another few Hawkmen in the sky, various spaceships and castles in the background. It's incredible. And I will say, looking at this portrait, the Hawkmen in this movie are some of the ugliest things I've ever done. If DC copies them, I'm out. I'm done. But it's a really nice piece of work. And it really does capture, I think, the flavor and the thematics of the movie it's based on very well.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So I give them full marks on this. It's great. It's one of those things where if I could steal it, I'd totally steal it. All right, next up is anime in Japan news, and this may be one of the last times we have a serious bracket about this, just because, again, we're trying to trim out of the show. This one's running a little longer than I expected, but, you know, then again, we were off for a week, so news had a chance to build up behind us. Anyway, I digress. Unfortunately, during the period we were off, we lost a Japanese illustrator who you're probably not aware of by name. You may not have even seen his work, and shame on you. His name is Noriyoshi Orai. He died early on October 27th. He did a lot of illustrations based on other people's existing properties in this very elegant painted style, and he did it for decades. I could send you individual links, but it would take less time for me to just give a reference link so you could scroll through it. He did illustrations based on Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, The Goonies, Godzilla, Macross.
Really?
Yes.
I recognize this.
He even did Steven Seagal movies. I mean, he did incredible work that it's frankly portrait worthy.
Yeah, if I could get prints of this, I would hang these up in my room.
Yeah, I mean, his Star Wars poster, that's the Empire Strikes Back poster. That's incredible. That is absolutely awesome with the spectral Darth Vader and the stars. Oh my gosh. And we lost this talent.
That's a shame.
Yeah. It's really too bad. His stuff, it could be easily replicated digitally, but you got to remember this guy started his work before that was even a possibility.
Oh, that's the Goonies cover for the VHS? Damn.
Yeah, they co-opted it for the domestic release. I mean, shoot, his version of like Menzinger Z and everything is just awesome. And down near the bottom, you'll see his version of the SDF-1 from Macross. Holy cow!
I'm still scrolling, damn it. Oh wow, that's an interesting Millennium Falcon coming out of the Death Star.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, I would hang that up in my room so bad. I'm a huge Macross fan too.
Yeah, it's too bad we lost him. But in happier anime news, there's actually a new trailer came out for a new Gundam series called Thunderbolt. Are you aware of this one?
I heard a new one was coming. I wasn't aware of the subtitle.
Okay, it's based on a manga that came out that's supposed to parallel the events of the 1979 original Mobile Suit Gundam series.
Uh-huh.
And it's been described as looking and sounding like a sequel to Cowboy Bebop.
Okay.
That description in and of itself, you've got my frackin' attention. And unfortunately, I don't have a full trailer. I do have a 16-second teaser, though. You want to see?
Yes.
Okay. I sent the video.
There's a station.
Yeah,
Rex
that
station.
piano tune. That does sound like Yoko Kanno.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Yep.
Wow. Oh, there's a Gundam.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it? You son of bitches. Give me more.
I'll be honest. As much as I like that, it doesn't feel... It feels a little out of place with Gundam to me.
It does feel out of place. That's why I like it. Gundam's never appealed to me in general, but they've added something different to it, and now it makes me more curious. I'd like to know more. Would you like to know more?
Yes.
Unfortunately, there's more sad news out of Japan over the period we were out. Back on November 3rd, a voice actress, Matsuki Miyu, passed away. It was one of those things where originally I kind of passed over the story because I was busy at the time dealing with the aftermath of Kamikaze. When I read into what she did, I was actually even more sad. She succumbed to acute pneumonia after several hospital visits. She succumbed to it on October 27th, around the same time as the illustrator we were talking about. She was Prisma Ilya in Magical Sapphire. She was Hayori Naruko in Tsuga. And this is why this hit me personally. Most recently, she was Anna Nishikinomiya in Shimonetta. Remember a few weeks ago we had the AMV with the girl with the crazy... She was crazy and lust for somebody with the silver hair?
Oh, God, that one?
Yeah, she passed away.
Oh. She was a voice... Oh, wow.
She was the voice actress of Anna in that series. She unfortunately did pass away. It's just so sad. All this stuff I've been laughing over recently, and now it's impossible to I don't want to say it's impossible to make any more, but I mean, voice actresses in Japan are very singular. They tend to stick out in the crowd. So, it's just horrible news. There was another Seiyu who fell on hard times, but unfortunately this one was out of her own doing. Are you familiar with the voice actress Ai Takabe?
I'm not familiar with any Japanese voice actors.
Okay, she starred in a slice of life anime, a comedy called Kill Me Baby.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she was arrested for drug possession. Cocaine, specifically. A small amount was found in her home, and you know how that is in the U.S. When you're found with cocaine, most of the time you go to a BS rehab for 6 weeks, you come out, and then everyone kind of expects you to do it again. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Okay, in anime, it's like the freaking mob out there. After she was arrested, her name was removed from the credits of several series.
Oh.
They didn't delete her role entirely, but they just took her name completely out of the credits, so you can't figure out who did it. She was also dropped by the agency representing her. And all of a sudden, the stream episodes of Kill Me Baby were taken off Amazon in Japan.
Wow, it's like fucking hung herself on that one.
Yeah, and keep in mind, she was arrested for drug possession. She still hasn't gone through a trial yet, and all this stuff is happening.
Shit.
They are very serious out there about, I guess, about the nature of their voice actors. So, you know, if you go to Japan and you want to party, fine. Keep it in your apartment, because if it gets out, you're screwed. We found out recently, because of a recent presser, Netflix may be looking to make its own Japanese animated style shows.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, at the deal book,
the animators a decent wage.
Well, who knows? Maybe that's why Netflix is doing it. They can do it cheap. But the Netflix CEO, Reed Hastings, he had an interview at the Deal Book conference, and he said the company has become interested in producing animated series to expand their growing media service. So they're looking to make not relicense existing series. They want to make original series that Netflix shows for the first time. He wants to pursue a wider range of programming, and he used the words Bollywood-style shows and anime. Now, we've said before that the word anime doesn't necessarily mean Japanese animated shows. It's just a word. You know, it's been misappropriated in the U.S. to mean Japanese specifically, but that's another conversation I don't want to have again. Maybe we'll save it for the summer.
Yeah, pass.
I don't know how you feel about that particular thing. I've talked with people online, and they tell me that I don't know anything and that I'm just a weeaboo, as they put it, which is a word I had to look up, frankly. Because I don't spend time insulting other people because their opinion differs from mine.
My stance is anime, cartoon, same damn thing.
Well, that's my thing, is that I stopped calling it anime because that's a bastardized word. The reason why the Japanese call it anime is because it's short for animation. It's easier for them to say in their own language. Completely respect that. But to them, there's no difference between cartoons that are made in their own country versus cartoons made in other countries other than style. The concept is the same.
Yeah.
So when I say I enjoy cartoons, a lot of people look at me. If I go to a Japanese animation convention and say I like cartoons, people look at me because they apparently think that means I like, Bugs Bunny, Animaniacs, and Tom and Jerry, and that's all I like. I don't know what I'm talking about. But if I say that I enjoy anime, all of a sudden everything changes, even though it's the same goddamn thing. The only difference is context. Anime is cartoons, cartoons is anime. Get over yourself. Grow the frick up. If you like something, just admit you like it. That's all. Unless you like Ben Carson, then you can keep back from me.
Who?
Okay, never mind. I'm sure there are people in the UK that understood that more than you just did.
More power to them.
Yeah. Dude, do you remember when we talked about the Macho Cafe?
What?
Japan had a thing. You don't remember the Macho Cafe? It's the inverse of the maid cafe. Instead of being served by girls in maid outfits, you're being served by a bunch of very, very ripped and buffed male individuals. It's been very popular with women in Japan. Go figure, right?
Yeah.
It's a classic version of manliness that if you read their online postings and social media, that the Japanese women don't see a lot of nowadays. Go figure, it's popular. Well, now you can add Macho Nikuya to that list. The Macho Nikuya. Nikuya means butcher. It is a shop you can go to where men will flex in front of you as they serve you beef, either grilled, raw, something like that. The idea is it's a high protein restaurant being run by a bunch of guys who obviously eat a lot of protein. One of the drinks they serve is raw eggs.
Okay.
Women
I can imagine that concept. I can imagine that kind of being very popular in the States too.
It could be, yeah. But
Take it to
not only can you order this stuff, apparently, if you're very nice, you can even feed the men working there too.
That would definitely be popular over here.
Oh, dude. It's only open for a limited time, though. Its run ended on November 9th. You know, frankly, I'm not interested in men. I don't have that wire where I'm attracted to men sexually. However, I would like to sit down in this cafe and just people watch.
Yes.
I would be entertained for hours just sitting there watching people interact. Let alone I'd probably take a bunch of embarrassing photos of flexing next to these guys, and it'd be hilarious to me anyway. There's an official line of actual anime contact lenses now. The Japanese have actual contact lenses meant to mimic the light effects you find in animated shows. You know, like the white sections you see in eyes is supposed to mean reflected light. You can get them in 3 different styles called ururu-eye or teary-eyed, kira or twinkle-eyed, or kirato or bright-eyed. The bright-eyed actually have small stars or one small star in them. The kira-kiras have a couple small stars implanted in them. And the ururu, the teary-eyed, have several white, I don't want to say specks, but just like circles and dots in them that's supposed to be like the reflected light you find in Japanese animated shows. You can get the content.
Yeah.
Oh, cosplayers will go crazy over this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, and they're not terribly expensive either. You can get them for 3,300 yen from Japan, which is roughly $27 US. I've never been able to use contact lenses. I can't touch my eyes. If you can, power to you. I just don't have the neurological wiring to be able to pry open my eye and shove a disc on top of them, okay? That being said, I do think it needs to be said that when you buy non-prescription contact lenses, please be careful. There are cases where cheap contact lenses have been able to cause blindness.
Mm.
So what you buy is what you buy. I've always said it. If you have fun doing it, you're not causing harm to others, go for it. But all I ask is that you be careful and please watch out for yourself. It's impossible to watch anime if you can't see. Okay? And last up in anime in Japan news, this was close to a WTF. Very, very close. Mm-hmm. Remember we talked about panty scrunchies? There were those weird scrunchies that came in the shape of small versions of underwear.
Yeah.
Okay. They've gone one step further.
Oh, God.
A company called Koro Toro is making panty hats.
Uh-huh.
There is not a name for it. Seems to be a gag product, at least, but it's an actual product that can be bought. I'm going to send you the link simply because it's hard for me to describe, but you can get these for roughly 2,500 yen. That's only about $21 in the US, where it is a small beanie that has a large elastic strap, and on top of it is like Shippamen or striped white and color striped panties.
Okay, the design, the mechanical design for it, yeah, I find it interesting. Just the aesthetic design is like, no.
It's definitely more hat than underwear. That much is for sure. But
yeah.
It's just, I wouldn't want to walk around as this because even if somebody mistakes it for some Where's Waldo style beanie, it would only take one double look before they realize that you're wearing something that looks an awful lot like what's on their daughter's butts on your head. You know what I mean?
I don't want to be there for that conversation.
I mean, this would be really appropriate if you're cosplaying Shimonetta something, but I mean, in most contexts, this is not something I could do. Me walking around with my bald head and something that looks like a pair of panties on them, combine that with the fact that I'm black, I wouldn't make it 2 blocks before I was in the middle of a police shooting. It's funny. It really is. It's an awesome thing that somebody made. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, well, I get easy pass for Mexican. If I wore that, holy crap.
You'd be deported. All right, last up is our WTF corner. We're going to talk about those stories from across the internet that just make you ask, what in the blue hell is happening here? And first up, thankfully, we have a positive one. It's sad, but it is positive. I'm sure by now everyone's heard the story of Star Wars fan Daniel Fleetwood.
Yeah.
Daniel had terminal, I think it was cancer. I'm not entirely sure what he was sick with, but it was a form of cancer. It was a rare form of cancer. His wife, Ashley, both she and Daniel were tremendous Star Wars fans. And when they figured he was pretty close to the end, she put out a call on social media with a hashtag Force for Daniel. She said that his biggest final wish at this point was to see Star Wars The Force Awakens before he passes on. And the hashtag Force for Daniel, crossed the internet until it eventually came its way to J.J. Abrams, the guy who directed the latest Star Wars film. Somehow J.J. Abrams and Disney got together with this, and they sent Daniel an unedited version of Star Wars The Force Awakens. They took nothing out of it. That was as of December 7th, he got to see the movie. Or, I'm sorry, not December 7th. November 7th, he got to see the movie. Yeah. And it would have been an amazing story if I was telling something from the future. I would have a whole different job occupation at that point. But the reason why I say that this story is also sad was that as of November 10th, just 3 days later, Daniel did succumb to his illness. He passed away.
Damn.
Yeah, it's not the happiest of stories, but it's one of those cases where as much as people bemoan large companies, I don't know if it was Disney or J.J. Abrams who made the final decision, but either way, the two would have to work together to send this man the movie. Mm-hmm. And they may have had nothing to gain other than a little bit of positive press, but at least they gave him the opportunity to do something he really wanted to do before he passed away. And it's one of those things where they didn't have to do anything. Daniel could have been lost as just another nameless face in the crowd, but they at least had the compassion to do something for him. And that's pretty immeasurable, really. You know, I give him full marks. It's a sad story, but it's a touching one. It's one that his wife is going to remember for a very long time because they went out of their way to do something nice for a guy they didn't have to. So, you know, full marks there at least. But moving into something more positive, because it's our WTF corner, that usually means we have interesting video game videos.
Oh, some of the best kind.
Yeah, and there's a host of weird happenings that are really hard to quantify from the internet. The first one here actually comes from YouTube user marked as Aaron Hole, Houle, not holes in cornhole. But he had a video from Star Wars Battlefront that he simply titled as, wait, what? I sent the video. Okay, so there's somebody aiming down the sights of something, takes a shot. Wait, what's up with that Gatling gun? There's a body on it. Okay, the body just flew away.
What the fuck?
I don't know. I do appreciate the fact that for a moment that gun in place with a body on it, it looked like somebody had grabbed a body by the feet and was just shooting something out of its empty head. But, wow. That was more than a bit bizarre.
Just a tad.
Yeah. Speaking of bizarre, though, the next video is from the game The Witcher 3, which has had a few noticeable errors in the past. This one isn't necessarily an error, it's just a matter of entering a cut screen at the right time, because it starts out with a character wandering through a village, he stops to talk to somebody, and as soon as this village takes a compliment is when something unexpected happens. I can't describe it any better than that. Okay. It's from user Daniel Nyland. It's titled "Nice Village." I sent the video. So there's the main character. He wanders up and talks to somebody in the village. Listen, as soon as he says something weird happens.
Nice village.
Thunk.
Oh, a real pearl.
Apparently, as soon as you pay this village a compliment, somebody decides to just shoot you with an arrow for being an ass.
Winter to winter. Somehow we survived.
An ass deserves another.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's not exactly a bug or anything. That's just really, really, really nice timing. If I played that game, I'd be pissing people off just to see if I could get that to happen again. You know what I mean? That's one of those moments that just makes you laugh for no other reason than simply because, okay, that happened.
Yep.
The next video up is from the channel of Epic Laser. That's EPICLAZOR. Apparently he was playing WWE 2K16. And he was playing a Hell in a Cell match. He got It looks like he got a custom character and Dean Ambrose up on top of the cage. They were wrestling up there, and the unexpected happened. Believe me,
What
I
can
sent the
go
video.
wrong in a WWE game?
About as many things as could go on in a WWE match. I sent the video. So there they are. He's doing something, and then...
Wait,
yeah.
what the hell?
I don't know. Their torsos are stuck through the cage. Their legs are just kind of dragging around. Looks like Dean Ambrose is bashing his own head on the girders there. Yeah, I imagine he is tired because he's crippling physics.
I love how the commentary is still going on.
I know. Look, and he just dances into the ring. He dropped through the cage. I love this, though. He does a drop kick somehow and takes him down. Boom!
Okay, that's a weird physics glitch.
I know, and there's more and more glitches about that game are starting to come out. Makes me really, really glad as a wrestling fan I never spent money on it. I am. I'm a longtime wrestling fan. I think it's entertaining as a male soap opera, but that kind of stuff, that is beyond me,
At least you didn't have the Thinkivision for that one.
Watch, it's another console adaption error.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. But because some of the hottest games of the fall have come out, we have some new videos from some of the hotter games that are out, like Halo 5.
Ooh.
Yeah, a user named Cal on YouTube decided to post a video of what he calls his best ever Halo 5 kill. That sounds like a challenge, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it does.
All right. Well, I sent that video too. Okay, so you see Cal there. Somebody just stole his ghost. Oh no, he just stole that guy's ghost. The guy tries to defend himself with a grenade.
Oh, they are...
Dodge that.
He's
got him
dancing
pinned.
around the crate, around the crate.
Then the guy charges him, tries to steal the ghost. Cal hits the accelerator and lets him fly away with the ghost. Off the cliff.
That was good.
You deserve a little bit of pride in that one.
Like, you want it? You can have it.
Yep.
Off the cliff.
Just gotta warn you, few scratches on it. And we have another Halo 5 video. This one is from a user. His channel is David Ellis. And believe it or not, this one didn't have to do so much with him, so much as something that happened to him. Which sounds nasty when the video is called Mongoose Surprise. But trust me.
Ideas.
Yeah, trust me. It's worth it. I sent the video.
Hi there.
Okay, so you see him running through this arena in the middle of a PvP match.
Mm-hmm.
There you see two guys from the opposite team on a mongoose.
Oh, there's the mongoose.
They're riding around. They're coming back his way. And the guy in the back seat shooting. You hear the annoying ass horn. It's not going well. And then, surprise! And somebody ground slams from the sky and takes them both out. But
okay.
You gotta appreciate he left the mongoose intact.
And he's teabagging.
Well, I think he's earned it.
Yeah, I'll be honest, not what I was expecting with Mongoose Surprise.
It was a hell of a move.
I was expecting someone to be turned into roadkill with a mongoose.
Well, it was a surprise.
Yep.
And then we have one more Halo 5 video. This one is from the user Wei Min Chen on YouTube. And he calls it a body rethrows a nade in Halo 5. I mean, you can't
Not
get
the
more...
shortest of titles.
No, it's a little bit involved, but I sent the video. So we see Wei Min, he's fighting somebody, and he gets taken out. Body in the
And
corner.
he's a corpse.
Yep. And plasma bounces off him, hits the guy who shot him, and boom.
Really?
Yeah, he got credit for that kill, and here it is from another angle. The guy who shot him runs away, a plasma bounces off him, hits the guy, and boom, and he gets credit.
I was a Spartan until I took a grenade to the knee.
I could imagine two different reactions to that. The Wei Min just cheering wildly just because he got the kill. The guy who got the grenade probably threw his controller a couple times. Because that's unbelievable. Doing everything right, then some a-hole bounces a grenade and you lose.
Oh, at least he took damage for that death.
True. And the last video I have is actually a Destiny video.
Oh.
Yeah, a user named Sleeveless Gaming put this up. It's about 1.5 minutes long, and just the title had me curious. He calls it Biggest Trials Fail. And before I send this, let me set this up a little bit. You go through something called the Trials of Osiris, a 3-on-3 match, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a kind of match where if somebody shoots down your teammates, you have the chance to revive them. Well, Sleeveless Gaming is the last one on his team. The entirety of the other team is available. He's running around trying to figure out what to do. And then he lost in the most unbelievable, embarrassing way possible. You're curious now, aren't you?
I am.
I know, it's a great description. I sent the video. All right, so here's Sleeveless. As you can see, there's 2 markers up there. Yeah, he's already the last guy on his team. Goes and gets some ammo. Switches to a sniper rifle. Now he's got to defend himself against 3 people. You can see the 2 markers of his teammates.
Actually enough. I'm going to wait.
Okay, voiceover.
I'm at like 80% right now.
And you can see from where they are on his screen, they're practically on top of each other, and you know the other team is guarding those bodies, because they're his only hope. They're not going to let him just wander over and wake him up.
Oh, hell no.
He's looking around all corners. He's doing a good job of watching his own back, but sooner or later he's got to do something. Or, at the end of the match, you can get sudden death mode.
I don't think so.
If you go to the end of the match and the time limit, they'll open up a flag, and the first one to control that point wins, regardless of how many teammates are left.
I think I am going to get it.
So he's got a shot here.
10 seconds. That's like the most boring replay ever.
I know. There's the 10-second warning. It's about to be sudden death. So he goes up. He's feeling something's on his radar. So he hits his super, runs into the corridor, and his controller disconnected.
The controller died.
Fuck!
He lost the batteries in his controller at the worst possible moment.
Fuck!
And as soon as he lost connection was when he got shot with another super move.
I can't even deal with this right now.
Wow. And he reposted this.
Yeah, but you really have no one to blame but yourself.
Yep.
So, unfortunately, that's all you. Now, you mentioned it earlier in the show. Ryan Reynolds posted a video as Deadpool during Halloween where he teams up with the X-Men as Deadpool.
Yeah.
It's a mini documentary, as they put it, about his Halloween adventure. And the video is delicious because not only is Deadpool hanging around a bunch of kids in X-Men costumes, but he is as foul-mouthed as ever. I can only imagine what these kids were told when they got this job. You know, it had to be an interesting conversation. And I'm sure you've seen it, but I'm sure everybody listening would like to know what the hell this is about.
Actually, I have not seen it.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, okay.
I've only ever heard about it.
All right, then we're going to break some news here. Well, I sent the video.
You may be wondering why
There's
I brought
Deadpool.
you here. At some point, we must all join forces, become a team. Now, how many of you have taken a human life?
These poor kids.
Oh, God.
This team sucks. The hell's your name? Ray-Bans. Come here.
A kid dressed up as Cyclops.
Stevie Wonder, what's your superpower?
Shoot laser eyes out of my eyes.
That's the stupidest superpower I've ever heard. You're not on the team. I'm kidding. You're on the team. You're not on the team. Get back over there. I like it. I like it. You hit puberty early and hard.
Aren't you Green Lantern?
What does this suit look like to you, huh?
Oh.
Does it look like a leprechaun had sex
Damn.
with a cartoonist? Mystique, drop and give me 20.
A leprechaun had sex with a cartoonist.
To control the weather.
You can control the weather.
Yep.
Like Al Roker. Trick question. 0. Get back on the swing.
Get back on the swing.
Attack this little one!
He's
Attack
threatening
this!
beasts.
I think Deadpool may have been drunk.
You gonna fight crime?
Yes.
Maybe start a little crime?
Start some crap.
Just hold on to this for me.
I gave Mystique a knife. How nice.
Oh, God, I hope that's not real.
And pushing her on the swing.
There we go.
I really wish we could sew his mouth shut again.
Oh!
I'm gonna kick a little ass. This is the magical X-Men oath. 1, 2, 3. Okay, guys, team photo.
I want to know what that word
Straight
was.
ahead, guys. Look straight ahead. Do not look back.
Wow.
Now I want to see this movie even more.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
Wow. Wow.
I'm totally sold. There was a story that ended up on Gawker just after Halloween, And it wasn't the story, or it wasn't the content of the story that got me to put this in here, so much as the way it was written. Brendan O'Connor on Gawker put up a story about a state trooper named Nathan Bradley. Uh-huh. He had to give some of the most unfortunate Halloween news I've ever heard of. During Halloween, a couple, DJ and Crystal Howard, died during a car wreck on Halloween, okay? So he, a county deputy, and the coroner made the way to the couple's home to find out if anyone was there. And obviously informed them, right?
Mm-hmm.
A 13-year-old answers the door.
13?
13 years old. And also inside were a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 6-year-old.
Oh,
these were all kids of the couple, all four of them. And they said that their parents would be back soon because they went out to get more face paint to help the kids prepare for Halloween.
Damn it.
Now, Bradley made a judgment call at that point. Trooper Bradley made a judgment call not to tell the kids about what happened to their parents because their grandmother was on their way from Florida to pick up the kids. So he had a choice to make. Do you ruin the kids' moment right then and there, or do you give them another Halloween of, at least relative happiness? So he didn't tell the kids what happened, took them for a meal with the grandmother's permission, and then had them hang out at the precinct house for the evening. They even slept there on, as well as I imagine they could. There's probably a few couches in there. And the grandmother picked them up the following morning when they were told what happened to their parents. It's an unfortunate story.
Damn,
now, what gets me, though, is that Brendan O'Connor, in writing this story, one of the points that he or she, I'm not sure if this is a man or a woman, brought up, was that the cops were putting this on Facebook as a public relations victory. And they said instead of associating Halloween with the tragic death of his parents, the eldest, at least initially, and eventually probably the rest of the kids, will associate it with being deceived for literally hours on end by an authority figure withholding from them the fact that their parents had died.
What?
I'm not entirely sure myself. I'm a parent of 3. And I appreciate how difficult this is. And at the same time that I'm sure they would have liked to have told their parents what was going to happen, regardless of when they tell the kids, they're still going to tell the kids. And giving them one more Halloween where they're going to at least associate some happy memories instead of just the horror, this is when my parents died because they went to get me face paint, that's immeasurable. Yeah, I mean, the following day they're going to find out that their parents died the prior day, and they're going to have some questions, and there's going to be some angst. There's no way you can lose your parents without being unhappy.
Oh yeah.
Unless, of course, your parents were like Charles Manson or Bill Cosby. That's a whole different thing, though.
Or you're Lex Luthor.
There you go. But at the same time, the kids got a decent Halloween out of it, and somebody actually gave a crap about their feelings instead of just showing up saying, well, your parents are dead, I got to take you in until your grandmother shows up. That's the end of what I got to do. That's it. He actually treated them like human goddamn beings. And in the case of, again, Brendan O'Connor, who wrote this on Gawker, I don't know if Brendan, who is a man, has any kids, but either way, F you in your goddamn mouth. Seriously. It's not he says trying to present this as a feel-good story is both repulsive and stupid. There's nothing about this story that's feel-good. They just did something for a family who had a horrible, horrible day. And for him to paint this as a feel-good, Brendan O'Connor himself to paint this as any sort of feel-good, you immature little bastard. Grow the hell up.
It took the words right out of my mouth. Seriously.
Unfortunately, we got to move from a sad WTF to one that's really kind of confusing. Jesse, your family is Christian, right?
My mother is.
Okay.
My father is. I question if I am.
Okay, help me out here, because I am not religious. That's just not my upbringing. What do devout Christian couples do when one or the other doesn't want to have sex?
I don't know. I barely follow the Christian faith when my mother was shoving it down my throat.
Okay.
So
I had to ask because there is a story here by a writer named, or at least there's a story via Jezebel. about a Christian writer by the name of Larry Solomon. Okay? Solomon writes about biblical gender roles in a column on his own website. And his ideas as to what to do if the woman in a Christian relationship is not interested in sex is more than a bit misogynistic and very, very Bronze Age. The quote from the site is, quote, "I know you love your wife. Most men love their wives. But sin is ugly. Your beautiful bride's face becomes ugly during this sinful time that she is grudgingly giving you sex as she grimaces, wanting you to just hurry up and get it over with. So like the men who could not look at Medusa's face, otherwise they would be killed, realize that if you look on your wife's face when she is displaying a sinful attitude towards sex, it will kill your sexual pleasure," unquote.
Two things. One,
Okay.
sin's ugly. Okay, I'll give them that. But not everything that's ugly is a sin. Two, Medusa has nothing to do with Christianity.
I realize this, but I have a couple of questions of my own. First of all, is it really sinful if the woman just doesn't want to have sex? Because technically it's the man who's producing the sin. It's the woman who's begrudgingly giving you what the hell it is you want at that moment. Okay, so that would make the man the sinner and the woman the victim, pretty much. Two, if his wife doesn't want to have sex this frequently, maybe he should go to a goddamn gym. Maybe that's his problem. Or at least use some products and improve whatever's going on with his face. And item number 3, if your wife really isn't into having sex at that moment, why are you mounting her anyway? I'm married, and I admit my sex drive and my wife's don't always coincide, but when that happens, it's not like I'm going to sit there and go, fine, get on top. You know, if she doesn't want it, she doesn't want it. Maybe it's time for you to go away, rub one out, and come back a little more relaxed. You know what I mean? I mean, this even gets weirder because he continues, quote, "Focus your eyes on her body, not her face. Focus on the visual pleasure you receive from looking at her body and physical pleasure you receive from being inside your wife. I know you love your wife. You want to connect with her physically and emotionally during sex. But your wife is the one refusing to connect with you emotionally, so you have to concentrate 100% on the physical side," unquote. Whoa, pump the brakes, red light, stop, no, stop. So just because she's not into it, you get to treat her like an overgrown fleshlight. Is that what I'm supposed to understand? Doesn't matter that she's not into it because I'm going to have it right now.
Aside from, force themselves on their wives, it sounds like he's describing masturbation, to be honest.
More than a bit, and also, forcing your wife to have sex doesn't sound like a very Christian attitude.
It sounds archaic, to be honest.
More than a bit. This sounds like something from some cult, some compound out in southern Texas or some bizarre place like that. It's making me uncomfortable, frankly. And please, if anybody has any stories where they're not into the sex with their Christian partner and has a remedy, let me know, because I would like to know something a little more friendly than what this guy's spewing right now. Next up is a positive WTF, and it's another charitable one where a big company is going out of its way to do something nice for somebody else. James Young, he's 25 years old, he's a gamer, and he lost an arm and a leg in an accident.
Damn.
Yeah, video gaming is tough when you don't have a full set of two hands because of the way controllers are just laid out nowadays. They're relatively complicated, and they need you to generally have a pair of working index fingers, a decent amount of fingers on both hands to grip the damn thing, and then two pretty dexterous thumbs, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, after the accident, this man is still into video games. He has somehow learned to play fairly well with one hand.
Wow. Props to him, man.
I mean, I say that out loud, and I realize that sounds like a really bad masturbation joke, but I'm serious. He's actually learned to play video games with one hand fairly well at this point. But his story made it back to Konami, as well as the story that one of his favorite games right now is Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. The one where Big Boss is running around recently.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow Konami has gotten it in their head that they're going to work with a robotics lab to create a working prosthetic hand for him. Not just a prosthetic hand, but one that's stylized like the one Big Boss has in Metal Gear Solid 5.
All right, that's pretty fucking sweet.
That's above and beyond That's above and beyond the call for anything in regards to just helping a single fan. You know, I mean, maybe they're not as altruistic. Maybe they're hoping if this works, they can sell this, you know, to avid gamers all over the world. I don't know. But still, just to go this far in general, it's a nice first step. It's a good thing to do. And that also means next time you go to shake hands with somebody that has Big Boss's hand, take a good look. He might be a duplicate. Spoilers. Okay, we got a few more WTF stories before we get to our subject of the week. And first up is it's a confusing WTF. It's actually kind of a sad one, but not as sad as, you know, state troopers having to deliver bad news again on Halloween. Are you familiar with the story of a woman in Murfreesboro, Tennessee?
No.
Okay, the lady's name is Sherry McLean. She's 67 years old. And she's a shopper at Walmart. And just that phrase alone already tells me something bad's about to happen.
Oh, boy. Getting flashbacks at the parking lot earlier today.
Yeah. Well, she was loading groceries into the back of her car that she'd already bought. She said that she was scared absolutely to death when the man approached her in the parking lot, so she drew a gun on him. She has a concealed carry permit. She drew a gun on him. Then she was confused not long afterwards because the police appeared and arrested her. She said she pulled her gun in self-defense. She was arrested for attempted assault with a firearm and endangering the public. Doesn't sound right, does it?
No.
Okay. Well, several eyewitnesses and the security cameras say that she was in no immediate danger when she pulled the gun. Want to know what happened?
Enlighten me.
Okay. First of all, let me say that the man that approached Sherry McLean, the 67-year-old white woman, was a black man. He got within about 10 feet of her and asked for a light. And in response to this request for a light, she pulled a gun.
What?
Now, if it was just security footage, you could say that, you know, there's no audio. You have to wonder what in the hell happened. But there are eyewitnesses who say that this man never got within arm's reach of her and asked for a light. He apparently had just bought a pack of cigarettes inside Walmart and wanted to smoke. He asked her for a light. She pulled a gun, which I'm sure is not what he meant when he asked for a light.
No.
So the man freaked out and run away. I mean, there's a gun suddenly pulled in his face. He's done, right? He just decided, that's it, I'm out. So as he was running away, Sherry McLean followed him with the gun. And I don't mean she ran after him. She kept a bead on him. She kept aim on him. And as he ran, there was a woman, her 7-year-old child, and her grandmother who was accidentally put between Sherry and this black man, but she never stopped aiming the gun. So she, on purpose or on accident, or well, let's just say out of stupid, endangered 3 innocent people minimum while threatening a guy who asked her for a light.
Someone needs to go over gun safety.
Somebody needs to get a little less paranoid. I mean, one of the witnesses, Keely Benoit, the lady who accidentally got in between all this, said, quote, "Clearly this is a gun owner who doesn't need to own a gun," unquote.
I'm not going to argue that.
I know. I'm sure there are legitimate self-defense issues that happen in this country every frickin' day. However, this was definitely not one of them.
No.
I mean, I could just say, well, that's Tennessee for you, but it's not just Tennessee. This is a level of stupid I'm unaccustomed to. And last up in our WTF corner, God, I really wish we had V for this. Because I know what underwear she's wearing.
You know what underwear
I do know what underwear I know what underwear she's going to be wearing in the near future.
Okay, I was getting kind of weird that you know what underwear she's wearing when
I know
she
it
actually
sounds
has a boyfriend.
It sounds like with this in the prior stories, it sounds like my ability to tell the future is really kicking in. No, that's not my problem. On ThinkGeek, you can actually get a pack of underwear, a 3-pack of underwear that is stylized like the uniforms of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Women's underwear. You can get Star Trek panties. And not only do they have the colors, not only do they have the Starfleet symbol on them, but they actually have the, the rank pips on them of commander, lieutenant commander, or captain. If I was a little less concerned about my friendship with her, that might be something I get her for Christmas just because.
Which one do you think she would wear?
I don't know. The question I have is, if she wears the underwear, does that mean her boyfriend will immediately be her number one?
Oh, starting getting the rise to attention.
I can only imagine V leaning back, pulling up her skirt, and saying, "Go ahead, engage." Want it now? Make it so. Oh, man, the
Orgy
puns
party.
But for a few days every month, it's the Kittimer Massacre. Oh my goodness.
Oh, we're gonna go to hell for that.
No, she's gonna listen to this show. She will fly out to California and kill me. Okay. And before we get to Miss Marvel, there is one other thing I would really like to address. And this started not long after we started our extended, out of the office period and went to Kamikaze. And this irritates the bloody hell out of me. Have you heard about what's happening with the fandom of Steven Universe recently?
You mean that whole picture fan art thing?
Yes.
Oh, God.
I know some people are not going to be aware. Let me lay this out as well as I can, and it's going to be a bit of a ride, so please bear with. Steven Universe is a relatively new show on Cartoon Network that started, I want to say, about a year and a half ago. And it's a show where they have 15-minute episodes. It didn't start out very well. I went back, started watching more of it, and I can safely say that regardless if you're a kid or an adult, Steven Universe is probably one of the most emotionally complicated cartoons I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, it's kind of one of my favorite cartoons out right now.
They tell really interesting stories about people and their connections, as well as have these almost magical girl-style adventures. It's very, very entertaining, and if you're not watching it, try it out. It's really pretty amazing how well it connects with people. Now, there is an artist, an independent artist, who does just some fan art. I don't have her name off the top of my head, and I don't have her site. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Zami070. It's ZAMII070 on DeviantArt. She does fan art of the show, and she does it in this kind of pop Korean style. It's relatively interesting. It's not my dig personally, but it's fan art. It is what it is. Now, one of the characters in this show, the mother of the main character of Steven Universe, is a character named as Rose Quartz. And if you watch the show, she's a... What would be the right word for her? Husky? Voluptuous? Somewhere in there?
I can't say. I want to say thick is the first thing to come to mind. But yeah, no, definitely voluptuous.
Yeah, thick is the simplest word for sure. It's not the standard... model skinny type stuff. So a lot of people identify with the character. Well, this fan artist drew a particular picture of her where she was relatively thin in the picture. And as a result of that picture, people on the Steven Universe fans Reddit page, they call themselves the Crooniverse, really went after this girl. They started calling her fat shaming, like she has no business doing it, that she needs to take it down, and they get freaking vile in some of her comments.
Actually,
some of the
Crooniverse's description of the show staff.
No, actually, the Crooniverse is the name of this Reddit page. We'll get into a little further into that too. But some of the stuff they posted on her DeviantArt is, "I'm going to rape you, but you'll like it, you slut. I can't wait to skull your eye socket, you," and "ha ha ha, please kill yourself." This is a teenage girl getting all of this vitriol. Now, she, in response to some of this, Zami, from what she posted on her page, says, or at least heavily alluded to the fact that she committed suicide.
Or attempted to.
Yeah, like I said, she attempted to commit suicide. It's a sad situation. The people on Reddit claim that she faked it to get sympathy, oddly enough. It never stopped. Somebody anonymous actually said, "To be honest, I'm happy she probably killed herself, especially after that racist Native American bullshit."
What?
I don't know. you're asking me to quantify stupid, and there are certain places I can't go. Now, somebody that called themselves Sexy Agender Girl says, just because you don't agree with it makes it a troll. Now who's the real... She should have died because she was a shithead who was disrespecting cultures and races by fat-shaming characters. Go f*** off, you apologist. Now, I'm... It gets even weirder because the creator of the show actually weighed in on the internet. The creator stated that it's fan art and the girl has the right to draw whatever she wants. Personally, I think the girl was drawing what she sees. It's not, and I don't mean what she sees on the screen. I mean, she drew what came out of her mind's eye. And she didn't happen to see Rose as a hefty or husky person. She saw somebody that didn't have a problem and just happened to draw her thinner. You know what I mean? She didn't draw like somebody morbidly obese. She didn't draw someone fat. She just drew what she saw. And in response to the creator coming to defend her, now the fans of Steven Universe have turned on the creator. Saying that she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Blows my fucking mind.
You know, the showrunner and I think one of the producers got involved and they were also insulted. So I am going to weigh in on this simply because I'm a fan of the show. And first of all, I'm tired of the phrase fat shaming. Because fat shaming has turned into a de facto excuse for people, regardless of body style, to make it okay to be overweight. You know, if you're a little overweight because you're a muscular person, that's your business. If you're a little overweight because you eat too much, that's your business. But and some of the people who are making these insults towards this person are not fat people. I don't know what their personal outlook is, but this is just a bunch of people who are looking for someone to hate simply because it makes them feel bigger about themselves. I don't care about your personal reasons.
Yeah, not any different than being a bully, so...
It's not. I don't care about your personal reasons. I don't care about your personal health. To drive someone to despise themselves this much for doing nothing more than drawing a picture, and it's not like it was a malicious picture, you people need to grow the hell up. It's just a cartoon. You people are freaking out over a cartoon. You know, I've been a fan of cartoons since I was 3, but the first thing I learned is they come, they go. They don't last forever. The fandoms of these things come and go. They don't last forever. And frankly, you know, if you think this is the right thing to do, you need to step back from your computer. If you think it's right to just lambaste somebody because they drew a picture, you need to step back. Because the internet is not a place for you. You know, I wish people would Neil Sampat the hell up. Neil Sampat is a character from the newsroom who gave this very interesting monologue about how the internet is a tool and it's up to us to use it properly. Just because you find a lot of hatred on the internet doesn't mean the internet fed it. The internet was simply a place where people decided to hide behind monitors and say those weird, dark little things that normally we're smart enough to keep to ourselves. I have a host of things I would love to say right now, but simply because I like to think of myself as an adult responsible for my own actions, I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry, Jesse. Am I running over this because you're not saying?
No, you're hitting all the bullet points. You know, it's like I'm a man of a few words, and I've already said my piece. This is fucking stupid.
Because I want, and seriously, fans of the show, I'm not asking you to go out and lynch Redditors because, for frick's sake, that's just going to add to this nightmare of Moronathon. The best way I can put it, though, is that some people are treating the internet as a sounding board. You know, they take those weird little emotions, they put them out on the internet, a few people respond, and they think that enough people agree with them that they're going to run with these weird little ideas. The internet is not a sounding board. It's an echo chamber. A few people agreeing doesn't mean it's a good enough idea that you should run with it. If you had like a few million people backing you up, then you may have something in the form of a movement. At least you got a few cities worth of people that seem to think you're on the right track. But when you've got 10 people who suddenly say it's a good idea to insult a young lady just because she drew a picture you didn't agree with, that doesn't make it a good idea. That means you found a group of the weirdest little minority, and you've decided that you represent everybody. You know, seriously, guys. And don't, again, you can only, you can't blame the internet for spewing out your own stupidity. You're the one that put it out there. regardless of somebody put it under a magnifying glass or somebody retweeted it or whatever you want to call it. Just be a little smarter. Think for a couple minutes before you hit send. Reread it. You might actually regret it, because goodness knows, I read things before I hit post. Okay, I'm going to put away my soapbox.
Yeah, step off that.
Yeah. The subject of the week is the Kamala Khan 2014 Miss Marvel. This is a relatively new story. This is about the first Pakistani-American-born character in Marvel's history that I'm aware of, at least. Definitely the most major one.
Descent, not born.
Yeah, like I said, Pakistani-American.
Okay, all right.
This thing was written by G. Willow Wilson. The art was done by Adrian Alfana, at least during the first 5 issues. The 6th one, I believe, is a different artist. Color arts by Ian Herring, and the lettering was done by VC's Joe Caramanga. And this follows a story of a teenager who is a rather ardent Carol Danvers fan. And one night she sneaks out of her... I don't want to say conservative, but I guess you could say traditional Muslim family's house to go to a party, like a lot of teenagers do. Just so happens the night she was out was when the Terrigen Mist, one of the side effects of the Infinity storyline that activates latent powers in human descendants, rolls through and gives her this new polymorph ability. And I gotta admit, the art, first of all, the art on this thing, it kind of struck me as I read it that the art is almost perfect for the story of a teenager. It's a little bit cartoonish. It's kind of distended. It's a very clean yet flat look. And it's one of those things that if you think about it from the perspective of people growing older, their memories and crystallize in these really simple, happy formats, it really works for the tone of the book, I think. It has this whole youthful vibe that's kind of refreshing in comic books. Did you notice in the first issue that there was a Kevin Smith joke in there?
No, I don't follow Kevin Smith that much to catch those things.
Okay, on the 3rd page, somebody is walking out of the Circle Q Mini Mart.
Uh-huh.
And as he's on his way out, he says, "It's all yours, Chatty Bob. Don't wreck the place."
I read that. I did read that. I just didn't make the connection.
Yeah, Kevin Smith is famous for making his independent film Clerks, where he played the character of Silent Bob, who hung out outside a convenience store.
There are more references in there.
Probably a few since. Well, probably a few since this whole thing is based in Jersey City, and Kevin Smith is a New Jersey native.
I would say more than just Kevin Smith references, but
yeah, there's a couple of pop culture references that are kind of interesting in here, and it also helps you gauge a little bit the interest of the character of the writer. I do have, and I got to give the writer G. Willow Wilson a ton of credit. I have not read a story about a teenage girl that I personally could relate so well to. And no, that doesn't mean I really wanted to have breasts when I grew up. I mean, you can agree or disagree as you please, but the character of Kamala Khan, it wasn't about her being a girl necessarily, and it wasn't even about her being a Muslim. It was just about her being a person growing up in America. It's a real simple story to get behind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was also one of the amazing points about this series was she has Muslim parents, a Muslim brother. She lives in not a predominantly Muslim neighborhood, but there's at least a few of them in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as that religion has been kind of a thumping point of a lot of writers, series, and definitely political pundits these days, the fact that they're Muslim wasn't treated as a special point in the series. It was just a part of their story.
Exactly.
It was amazing because even the one who's more religiously traditional, the brother in this, if you swapped his character out for a Christian, the dialogue doesn't change at all. He worries about his family. He says he'll pray for them. That's his default mode when he's worried. He's concerned about the relationship between his parents and his sister. But he doesn't just sit there and start yelling a whole bunch of stereotypical or slightly racist items that could be very easy to fall into in the writing. Now, again, this may be because G. Willow Wilson, as far as I know, is a Pakistani woman. Maybe she knows how to tread those lines. But either way, those are lines that could so easily be crossed. She stayed within the path of storytelling rather than just getting political with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty amazing. What did you think of the pacing of this?
I'll be honest. Looking back on it, this should be a lot slower than it feels. It really this is the basic concept. If I was just to give you the cut down version, it should feel like a very slow read. It doesn't.
Yeah, the first 5 issues are basically the story of her origin, as well as the reveal of her first major villain, her first 2 or 3 fights, and it's pretty well paced. The first 5 issues blend together really well, and it's also one of those things. Yeah, well, and you would think 5 issues is an incredibly long origin nowadays in comics, when most generally spend only about 2 issues dealing with such things. But for 5 issues, they really did stretch it out to the point where it felt like more than a few days in this girl's life. And as you watch her grow from a person who's, maligned. I wouldn't even say normal. She's maligned. She's one of the few Muslim kids in a predominantly white area of Jersey, for sure. But you get to watch her grow and start making decisions as to how she became Miss Marvel. It wasn't just one of those cases where, Carol Danvers heard that there's this new young girl who really likes her and can shape change. And here's an old costume of mine. The writer did a great job of finding Kamala Khan's own independent reasons for becoming what she became, instead of just following the footsteps of everybody else that came before her. That's kind of the danger of a continuity as large as Marvel's or DC's. A lot of the times when heroes get involved or when new characters get involved in heroics, they tend to emulate characters that came before them, whereas Kamala found a pretty unique path of her own to decide what she wanted to do with herself.
Not that she didn't try to.
No, she definitely tried to at certain points, but it was interesting that her family was more the impetus for the path she became a hero than Carol Danvers or Iron Man or anything else she'd ever read about.
Mm-hmm.
She even thought about some of the scriptures her father would quote to her from the Quran, some very empathic and noble stuff, and that's what she drew on. The writer was brilliant. I got to give her full credit. If I run into her at a con, I may pick up a copy of Miss Marvel #1 and just get it signed just to meet this lady. She's got me curious. I've never seen anything like this.
It is definitely a change of pace from other superhero titles that I've read from both sides of the fence.
I think so. I mean, even the first issue, when she's trying so hard not to drink at this party and yet somebody spiked her drink anyway. Those weird little foibles that teenagers often get involved in. And at least it wasn't something as simple as, look, I'm stretchy. Well, I need spandex. I did kind of appreciate in the second issue when she first used her shape-changing powers and turned into the Carol Danvers version of Miss Marvel, the one piece with the thigh highs and the ribbon tied around her waist. Mm-hmm. When she started complaining about how she was giving herself a wedgie in that outfit. I thought that was a unique bit of conversation. And let alone a lot of stories when characters are building, they tend to do things perfectly. She came up with so many interesting mistakes. She found out her powers would allow her to shrink down to a couple inches tall, and then she freaked out because there was a normal-sized roach next to her.
Perspective.
Definitely. And her attempts at heroics, while they had the right reasons behind them, they were frustrating and awkward. It was really interesting to watch her kind of grow as a person as she figures out how to do this with not just flair, but I guess you could say a little more condensed way to do it, I guess. A little more grace. Though it's kind of hard to take her seriously when she wants to use her powers to grow and she keeps calling it embiggening.
I'm not sure if that's just a made-up word or some word within the Pakistani language.
I think it's a very major made-up teenage word. It's the villain of this book, the inventor. My God, was that weird.
I was kind of wondering if he was actually some, villain from the old days and kind of dusted off.
No, he's brand new. He's absolutely brand new. The inventor is a clone of Thomas Edison with the head of a cockatiel. The head of a tropical bird.
That was kind of strange.
Yeah, apparently the inventor who was trying to clone Thomas Edison, his genetic sample was compromised by his pet bird, and that's how we got the inventor. And he is utterly crazy in an entertaining sort of, I don't know, I wear a powdered wig as I try to destroy the universe kind of way. It's weird to watch them interact. It's funny because some of his more complicated plans seem to involve alligators with lasers on their heads.
This is like some old school type of villainy.
Oh yeah, this is like some 1960s hanging you over a pit type of villainy. I'm going to leave you now, Mr. Bond, as I leave you in this sure to work death trap. That kind of thing.
Or awesome powers.
The tone of the book is pretty good too. I was really surprised how, even though it's a teenager, a lot of comic books tend to be written towards people who are either in their late teens to, basically our age, approaching the fourth decade. This book works on all ages. I would actually give this to kids.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I would give this to young kids because they do a good job of avoiding all the usual superhero tropes of violence, sexuality, risque behavior. It is just a girl trying to be a girl, and it is really weird how refreshing that is. I've read comics since I was a teenager, and I don't think anyone has really captured the teenage experience as well as this. And I'm counting like the Teen Titans, Gen 13, the New Mutants. None of them have just been a teenager before.
Spider-Man?
No, he was dealing with being a superhero, whereas Kamala Khan seems to be dealing a lot more with just being a person, Most heroes, it seems like their alter ego is the one you really read about. It's like how Bruce Wayne always thinks he's Batman, and Peter Parker is always dealing with Spider-Man things like 24/7. Most of Kamala Khan's life is just spent being Kamala Khan. It seems like the hero stuff is what she does to improve her community, not so much as I'm going to change the world because I am hot in the spandex.
It's gonna be interesting when they finally put her on a team.
Well, she's in the current roster of the Avengers post Secret Wars. She's going to be teaming up with a bunch of stalwarts, including Sam Wilson and Tony Stark, and then she's also going to be teaming up with brand new heroes like Nova Sam Alexander and Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Oh God.
Yeah,
how many teenagers are going to be in this team?
I don't know. It almost sounds like the plot of Animal House. Look, here's the house with all the kids, and they're going up against the house with all the adults.
Ah, fun.
Even her costume is kind of unique in the fact that it's adapted Muslim swimwear.
Really? Is that what it was?
A burkini? Yeah, it's a Muslim swimsuit, which is like a neck to ankle swimsuit. You didn't read up on that, huh?
Oh, I read it. I just never made the connection because I had no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah,
they say swimsuits. I was thinking about traditional swimsuits I see in America and Europe and whatever.
Okay.
I've never seen a Pakistani swimsuit before.
I read up on it just because it was a word I wasn't accustomed to, and I wanted to make sure I knew what I was talking about. Even the 6th issue was funny when she had this accidental team up with Wolverine.
Oh God, that was priceless.
When she first meets him face to face and she starts flipping out while he's trying to understand why she's so exuberant.
Fangirl moment.
Oh yeah, I totally put you first in my fantasy hero team up bracket. What?
The face he had was like, I've never seen Wolverine like this before, ever.
I know. What was it? Issue 6, page 14 had the best interaction between the two of them when she says, "You're Wolverine!" Oh my God. My Wolverine and Storm in Space fanfic was the 3rd most upvoted story on Freaking Awesome last month. I had you guys fighting this giant alien blob that farts wormholes. Sounds great, kid. Wait, so what was the most upvoted story? Cyclops and Emma Frost romantic vacation in Paris?
Oh God.
This is the worst day of my life.
And the fact that he actually understands what she's saying, too.
Well, I mean, just because he's 100 years old doesn't mean he's never used a computer.
Yeah, but I don't see him being the type to read fictional material about fictional worlds.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because as much as she bounced around him and everything, she's definitely more excitable than Jubilee or Shadowcat were at that age. This was the period where he had lost his healing factor. This was I want to say a few months before the period where he died. And then she finds out he can't heal.
And she starts reprioritizing things.
She does. She adapted pretty well, but it's just kind of funny because she's helping him up after a long fall. And then she says, so, like, now you're just a short, angry man who punches stuff? I knew I liked you the minute I saw you.
It's like, she needed a mentor to teach her. It's like, Wolverine, why? Doesn't he have enough sidekicks?
He's got a school of them at this point.
But I forgot about that.
If you want to know how irreverent and just kind of interesting the writing of this book is, the last page of issue 6 kind of sums it up. There is a 30-foot alligator towering over them. Wolverine is hurt. She's raising the size of her hands to add mass to them to hit this thing harder. And then her inner monologue on this last page says, Dungeon boss, most ginormous alligator ever. Difficulty rating, 10. Group size, solo.
She is a total geek, nerd.
Yeah, she's a total superhero nerd. This is the first comic I think we've reviewed where I can look at this and honestly say, if you have any interest in comics or have a friend that has an interest in comics, go no further.
Up.
Yeah, it doesn't matter their age, it doesn't matter their religion, it doesn't matter their gender, it doesn't matter if they have no gender, if they're asexual or transsexual. This is the book. This is the book that can make somebody a comic book fan. You know, it's incredible how easy it is to get into this. Because I can't speak for Jesse, but me, I want more of this. I want to read a lot more of this.
I want more of this too. Shit.
It's one of those cases where next time I go to like WonderCon or Comic-Con, I'm looking for trade paperbacks because this is incredible. I love this book. And I wish we had V's follow-up on this because I'd like to know what she thinks, being somebody who doesn't read comic books, normally, willingly anyway. Because I have a feeling this was right up her alley as well. There's just something weirdly exuberant about Kamala Khan. She's like, even when things are down, she is somehow the living embodiment of optimism. And I don't mean that Supergirl, I give you hope kind of way. I mean, she's trying so hard, even when things look like they're sucking and she's complaining, to look on the bright side and just get through.
Kind of makes me look, and not to be real morbid about, but it kind of makes me look forward to seeing when that optimism gets challenged, like hard.
Given the lifestyle of the average superhero in the Marvel Universe, it's inevitable. I mean, I was reading a solicit for February that says that she's getting kicked off the Avengers for some reason.
Huh.
I don't know the reason, and that feels like a plant. I don't think you're going to take a character that is critically acclaimed and one of the most popular original creations they've had in decades and just throw her off your premier super team. I have a feeling the covers will work. I haven't figured out how, but I have a feeling,
Mm-hmm.
So I think we've gushed enough about it. I really didn't expect to enjoy this book as much as I did.
Me either, shit.
I know. Let me see. Thanksgiving, we're going to be off simply because obviously we all have family we need to see. And as the person in charge, I'm going to be out of position anyway, visiting family myself. But before we go, next week, I thought we were going to review more comic books. I had a list of things to talk about. And it turns out that because of somebody we ran into at Kamikaze, we can't do that. Do you remember Andrew Duvall from Fangasm?
Yes.
Yep, we had him and Sal Fringo on the show almost literally 100 episodes ago. Wow.
Really? Damn.
I kid you not.
We've been doing this for that long?
Yeah, it was like episode 36 when we talked to him, and this is episode, I think, 118.
Wow.
Wow. We need to talk to somebody. But, he's actually promoting a new project. He's trying to kickstart a movie. So he wants to talk about the movie as well as I think it's a good time to catch up with him. It's been over a year. And he was fun to talk to before. So I think it's time we caught up and just said, how's it going? We never actually asked him, what comics does he read anyway? So next week we'll catch up with Andrew Duvall, then we're off for Thanksgiving, and then after that we're at Great American Comic-Con.
Yes, we are.
We're having more shows out of the office than we are in the office lately. Jeez.
Oh, damn.
So I'm sure that'll change after Great American Comic-Con when things slow down a little bit ahead of ALA. Or Anime Los Angeles, sorry. Keep forgetting not everybody understands the in-speak. So thank you very much for tuning in. Next week is Andrew Duvall, and I invite you to roll with us again when we chat with him and catch up with a guy we haven't spoken to in a year. Thank you very much. Have a great holiday. I am Jeremy.
Jesse?
Don't jerk and drive. Enjoy.
Oh, God.
What? They can enjoy it if they want to.
Cut.